Gather around, freaks. It's Thursday night, and it's the Christmas hangover is hitting us all real hard. So take your mind off the holiday countdown to New Year's because it's time to gather around the internet radio and gather around the internet campfire because it's time for Hey, did you see this one? Hello and welcome to Hey, did you see this one? Merry Christmas! It is the middle of, it's the end of December. This is Hey, did you see this one? The weekly roundtable discussion and review reaction podcast where we take a movie and we pull it apart and reveal all of its ultimate truths. And this week, since we've had our guests pick the movie and look at our guest projects, we're finishing out the year with Cool as Ice from 1991, starring Rob Van Winkle, better known as Vanilla Ice, and returning to the show, star of internet, I guess, cosplayer extraordinaire. It's Bee Dawley. Bee Dawley, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Times now, you basically know what to expect. Oh,
sorry.
Thank
It was
you.
on loop.
Thank you.
Sometimes it gets stuck on loop. Yeah, so all of this month we've been breaking down people's favorite movies, and I remember when you were on the show. So B, I know you through Super Kicked.
Right.
You are or were training there. Are you still training there?
I am training again. Yes.
Okay, cool. So we met at a show that you were working merch on originally, and we got to talking. We had you come on the show a couple times, and I just distinctly remember you being very smitten with the idea of talking about Cool as Ice. I was so confused by it because nobody ever brings that up in a first conversation with somebody. I'll tell you that much when you're talking film. But I figured, since this is the month where the guests pick the movies, I would tune into what you had said and invite you on to talk about Cool as Ice. So this is your fault.
This is a Christmas gift to me, and exactly. Krampus, fuck you to all of you.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great, but I think the special thing about it, if me and Steve were to do this movie and have somebody that also didn't know the movie very well, we'd probably not have a good time talking about it. However, you're very passionate about it, and I think that's what's going to drive the interest during this, because I will say it is a very cool time capsule of 91, but 35 years later, it see what I did there? But 35 years later, it almost plays as a parody of films of this era. But this is fully serious. It's 100% serious. It's serious as a gun wound. But with that said, we'll move on to our first segment, which is a brief synopsis. And B, this is sort of new since you were on last. I'm just going to have you give like a very brief synopsis of the film, but we have to ask Zardos to come in and set us up the bomb.
Zardos speaks to you. He demands you synopsize this film. Tell him how, why, who, what occurs in this film.
So
actually, that's a great intro, because most of the people who see this movie, that's their response. How? Why? Who? What?
Once again, Steve is very well versed in film, and he was like, "What? There's a Vanilla Ice movie?
I didn't know it existed."
So yeah, just give us a brief synopsis. Yeah.
In 1991, before Suge Knight dangled him out the window, Vanilla Ice was at the peak of his game. He started out racing a lot of things, and he was a b-boy dancer, and then we all know him from the hit single Ice Ice Baby, which ripped off Queen samples. And then he got his own cartoon.
Yep.
I vaguely remember
and
that.
Released his autobiography that he wrote himself, and you can tell, called Ice by Ice.
By Ice.
Yeah. And they were just giving this man things to do.
Wait, is it called Ice, or is it like
Ice by Ice, written by Vanilla Ice?
Oh God, written by okay. That's hilarious.
It's even got pictures. Where's my favorite?
It has pictures in it.
Yep.
It's probably it's one of those books where the center part is probably pictures. Remember in the 90s?
Yeah.
So you guys know that he
it's
Mark,
it's hilarious.
He played Mark Twain once in a movie. The best.
What movie?
The best version of
what?
Of Mark Twain I've ever seen. Vanilla Ice as Mark Twain. Yeah.
What?
Was that in 1,000 Ways to Die in the West or something?
Something like that, but it wasn't that. No, it was that one of those Adam Sandler movies.
Oh,
I can't remember what it's called. I actually can't remember what it's called.
The Ugly Guys or whatever.
The Ugly Guys. Yeah, that's it. Is it like
the Ridiculous Six?
There we go. Yeah, I was gonna say the Hateful Eight. I'm like, no, that's a good movie.
No, it's a parody of a Hateful Eight, I believe, or it's supposed to be.
No,
it's like the one Adam Sandler movie I haven't seen. Right.
Now he tweets like a white girl on X talking about Happy Friday and Happy Monday and all of this great stuff, and flips houses. He was Amish for a while. He was a juggalo. But when this movie came out, he was an actor for the first time. And I'm pretty sure he had full script supervision. This is a Mary Sue written by a man with a double-digit IQ who saw Rebel Without a Cause, understood none of it, and went, yo, I'm going to make that movie.
I'm the new James Dean. It's 91. We need rap James Dean. And I'm going to remake Rebel Without a Cause without watching Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah.
Boom.
So
that's essentially the synopsis.
That's the synopsis. So Ice is a transient, but also a rapper, but also is the leader of his little motorcycle gang. And he ends up stranded in this town because his buddy's bike broke down, and it's this little podunk town. And he sees this girl, tries to impress her by jumping over a fence, scares her horse, and that sets up this whole love story. But also there are kidnappers, and he's wrongfully accused of things, and he's just misunderstood. And he has a hat with a reservoir tip and a lot of words on his clothes.
A lot of words on his clothes. That's perfect.
I feel like he isn't misunderstood though. I think people know exactly who he is, and they just don't want anything to do with him for the most part.
You know, I need you around when I start dating people because I feel like I just don't see red flags.
You just have Steve there as an interpreter.
I do one of these. I do like a Caesar, like a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the corner.
Look, I dated a guy earlier this year who put meat in his pocket and kicked me out of my own bed. And I didn't break up with him until a week after the kicking me out of my own bed thing. So like Vanilla Ice in this film is like a dreamboat to me.
Dreamboat, yeah. I mean, he's handsome. He's handsome.
Look at him. Look at this man. Look at that.
He's almost like too handsome, you know, where you're like, it's like uncomfortable. You're like, yeah.
I mean, look at that jaw.
Yeah.
Like that is insane.
If I made one of those hear me out cakes, he would be number one. Right. Actually, number two after Rumpelstiltskin and Once Upon a Time, but I don't want to talk about that.
Just before we get into our brief histories, it's just so wild to me that he made this thing. He was in Ninja Turtles briefly, Ninja Turtles 2, the Go Ninja rap, which I loved as a kid. And then this thing comes out, and it was meant to. He thought this was going to change everything, but it flopped so hard they never let him make a movie again.
But it worked out for some of the other cast and crew.
That's true. That's true. And we'll get to that in director talk as well. So let's go into our brief histories and let's talk about our history.
All right. A brief history.
That's right. As the medieval, as the Baroque man in the sound clip there said, it's time for a brief history. As always, the guest goes first on this show. So, B, since you picked this movie, I'm sure you're going to have a wild history. You've already told us about it's your litmus test for possible suitors. But overall, what's your history with this film?
I saw this movie in a dollar bin on VHS when I was maybe like 15, 16 years old. And I bought it because I wanted to watch something and nothing else in the dollar bin had bright colors on it. And I'm a magpie. So I bought it completely on a whim, knowing nothing about it, going, oh, Vanilla Ice, this should be interesting. Made it my entire personality for like 2 or 3 years, lost the VHS, and then until Netflix came out in like 2010, 2011, I was convinced that it was a fever dream because every time I would talk about this movie, nobody knew what I was talking about. I'm like, no, this actually happened. Like it was like a Mandela thing where I'm like, no, guys, I know this movie happened. And then randomly found it on a Netflix queue when Netflix first came out, they were sticking everything they could get rights to on there.
Yeah.
And was like, oh my God, it does exist. I knew it. So I forced people to watch it because I was like, okay, well, this movie exists. I told you. And then I started using that, like you said, as my litmus test, as my date movie. Because it's like, if you watch this movie with me and you stay after that, either you have the same weird sense of humor I do, or you are desperate to get into my pants. And I can use that to my advantage. Either way, it's a green flag.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know how I would react if somebody put this on as like the first thing they've ever showed me as like, this is the kind of media I love to consume. I'd be like, I don't know. I feel like I'm so confused.
A lot of guys think that, oh, okay, we're Netflix and chilling. Like, you just put on this terrible movie. This is just an excuse to get down. And I'm sitting there slapping their hand away going, no. Watch this part. You need to watch this part with the house because you're not going to believe what happens.
You need to watch one of the 18 montages. Yeah. You can make it to the end of the 18th montage in this movie. Marriage Material.
The date like at the Rusty Nail Emporium.
Yeah. It's like that meme that has been circulating recently where it's like a girl going like this and then it says like, oh, sorry, I lied. Put your clothes back on. Put your clothes back on. We have to talk about which is great. Cool as ice. I think that's important. I think that's an important thing that you do because you probably have weeded out some potential nightmare people. If they're like, no, I'm not, I have no sense of humor, I'm not watching this, then I could see you being like, oh, well, that's the way you're going to be in this relationship probably.
You just described me.
Yeah. No. Well,
I just wanted to show you guys this for a second. Yeah, there he is. And then here's another one.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's actually great.
We need to write some words on his jacket.
I don't remember anything about that movie other than him because I was like, is that Vanilla Ice? And then he started being like, play a tune for me. And someone's like, diddle on the piano. And he's doing like his crazy Vanilla Ice dance moves dressed up fully as Mark Twain. He's like, I'm writing a new book. It's about Tom Sawyer and his homie. Oh my God.
Jesus.
Yeah. Or he says his home slice, I think. Anyway, my brief history of this is that I watched it today, and up until we chose it for this episode, I had never even heard about it. And it's the briefest as it can be because I didn't even finish watching it less than 3 hours ago. And yeah, I do have some things to say though. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
There's lots to be said about this film.
Yeah.
B, I just want to preface this by I'm not trying to be mean when I say all the mean things. I'm not being mean to you. but we are a very serious review podcast, and we have to leave no stone unturned. Spoiler alert, I kind of like this movie. It reminds me, speaking of brief history, it reminds me of, like I was saying earlier, 1991 rolls around. I'm 6, almost 7, and clearly half of the population watched this film because that's when rat tails started to appear. He's got the gnarliest rat tail in this movie.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, based on the box office, not even like 1% of any population of any country.
It's true.
watched this film.
Well, it's funny too, because that's the thing about it. You never heard of it, but it was so prevalent in my world that I grew up in like a rural kind of backwatery kind of suburby kind of a place. And I just remember after this movie coming out, the rat tail started happening. I even got train tracks shaved into the side of my hair, had a mullet. And
I did
then
the
there was,
train tracks during COVID. So that's like still a thing.
that's awesome. I didn't get a full like zigzag pattern just shaved into the side of my head like Vanilla Ice has in this movie, but I do remember people having that hat with the metal on it. We've talked about Chip and Pepper
The thing
apparel on
is,
this show before.
that hat was, I'm pretty sure that's a Gautier hat. Like, that's
Yeah.
designer. Like,
His
Yeah.
glasses
The
are
outfit-
something too.
yeah, the outfits he was wearing in this, as ridiculous as they are not from Party City. They are from the runways at the
No,
time.
yeah. It was very clear to me that he was wearing all designer clothes because of just how loud and wild they were. And like the idea of him like rolling into town like a cowboy on a horse with his like, his posse, and everyone's staring at them like they've never seen any actual colors before in their lives. Like, what is all of these brand new colors I've never seen? But then they stop at a
Right.
house that is like has a world map painted on the roof and a bunch of globes, and everything is like, it's like a weird Tim Burton house in the middle of this movie that otherwise is not like a Tim Burton movie at all. There's just some weird Tim Burton elderly folks.
Yeah. Who are
anyway.
Tim Burton characters almost too.
They definitely feel like it. They have the vibe.
But just to round out my brief history, basically I saw it so long ago I didn't remember it, and then it was reintroduced to me through another podcast called How Did This Get Made, where they were fascinated by it with how ridiculous it is. But now it's been so long since I listened to that I had to reform my own ideas on this film, and I watched it I watched it yesterday, and oh my, so many things I didn't remember and so many things I did, namely his one-liners are all amazing, and they stick out like a sore thumb. And he committed so hard and thought he was doing something, but like I was also saying, 35 years later it plays like a parody. Like, this feels like somebody made a movie this year about 1991, and it's like a parody of 91, and this is the movie that was presented.
I mean, to be fair, I still use a lot of those one-liners.
Drop the zero and get with the hero is an all-timer, I gotta say.
I say yep, yep all the time.
Yep.
Yep, she likes me.
I usually say I was just chilling in the hood and I wanted to see if you wanted to get down or whatever.
You want to go for a
say.
ride, or you want to
Yeah.
cruise. Yeah.
Cool.
I also like that the little brother was like almost as in love with him as his older sister was. He's
Yeah.
just like, you're the coolest
Yeah.
person I've ever met in my entire life and ever will meet. Like, yeah. True.
I mean, when I'm talking about, getting down, I always say, are you guys going to make some sex? When you're done making sex?
which is so weird too. Oh my
I mean,
God.
that's
Whoa.
what I thought when I was a kid. That's what they do. They make sex, and then it's done, and then you can go for a motorcycle ride afterwards. All right, should we get into the body of the episode?
Let's do a director talk briefly. I just want
I forgot about that. All right.
Just want to talk about the director.
All right. Quiet on.
All right.
Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of
Sound. Speed.
action.
I'd just like to start off by saying that not only did this director, David Kellogg, direct Cool as Ice, but he directed the 1999 Matthew Broderick film Inspector Gadget, and also he directed Playboy Farmer's Daughters in 1986. So he's got a large swath of history with film. His main thing that I noticed that he does or did is a lot of commercials and music videos. We talked about a couple of directors recently that were mostly known for that before they did film. But it's interesting that he did this movie and Inspector Gadget, because as I recall, Inspector Gadget did pretty well. Like, people liked that movie. No? Okay.
I don't know if you're remembering that correctly.
But-
I mean, I
But,
saw it in
like,
theaters and I loved it as a
endured.
child, but you know, like I was a dumb child. I also thought that Star Wars Episode 1 was the greatest movie that had ever been committed to film in the year 1999. You know. I
Okay,
saw
you
it
know what?
8
I
times.
still like episode 1. That gets way too much hate.
I'm not saying I don't still like it. I'm saying that I thought it was the greatest movie that had ever been made. I saw it 8 times in the theater as a kid. Turns out I just really love Star Wars.
I just really love Star Wars and the Star Wars aesthetic, which that movie actually does a very good job at. That's the one thing that people forget about those prequels.
I
Is
still
their
watch it. That
Star
is a-
Wars movies.
That is a chicken noodle soup movie for me. If I'm a little bit sick or if I'm feeling down, pop on episode 1 and let Qui-Gon Jinn lull me to a sense of like half sleep where I'm dreaming about the movie while watching it. I love it.
I assume this is a chicken noodle soup movie for you as well. Not only do you bring possible suitors over to watch with you, but also when you're sick, throw it on and feel better.
Yep, absolutely.
We should
I've
do
seen this
Inspector
movie
Gadget
so
on this
much.
show.
I have
'Cause
seen this movie so much, both like the regular version and then the version with the riff track over top of it.
Oh wow, there's a commentary version.
Oh yes, and it's amazing. I
Oh,
love the riff
interesting.
tracks guys because they're the Mystery Science Theater guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
riff tracks, right? I thought you meant an actual commentary track with Rob Van Winkle himself, but a riff
Oh, I
track
wish.
version of it is probably also great.
That would be good. Yeah. I mean, this seems like one of those movies that is deserving of like putting on the mantle of we talk while we watch and we have fun while we watch because we talk while we watch. That's there aren't a lot of movies that would improve the quality of the film with that, but I think that this is one of those movies. Because I was while I was watching it, I was like, I wish I had someone here to riff with right now because there's so much riffable content in this movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned the director, but I think we need to point out who the director of photography for this film is.
Yes. Which is mind blowing.
Cinematographer is Janusz Kaminski, who went on to make Schindler's List, yeah, and lots of other stuff. But he's an award-winning cinematographer. And
like War Horse and Minority Report and West Side Story, the 2021 version.
he's
like
a Spielberg
holy shit.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Lincoln, director of photography.
And one of his
Lincoln.
first movies was Cool as Ice.
I mean, we said this briefly in the pre-show, but this was one of the things that I was kind of baffled by. Was I'm like, this movie is shot very well. Like there's a lot of creativity going on visually that otherwise wouldn't exist if somebody was like, it's a Vanilla Ice movie, why would I give a shit? This guy's like, it's a Vanilla Ice movie and I'm gonna give a shit. It's my job to care and to make everything look pretty, and he does.
And at the end of the day, this is like it's an advertisement for Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice thought he was in a movie, he thought he was in a movie, but the people making the movie were clearly making a promotional video for the idea of Vanilla Ice because he was so big. It's that thing of like when a person gets so famous or a band gets so famous or a personality gets so famous, they end up having a movie. And this was
Spice World.
Spice World, the Beatles
Ice
movies.
World, and I was like, is there another movie called Ice World that he's in? Why didn't we watch that?
Like Elvis. All of Elvis's movies were just him singing for 70 minutes. The Beatles movies are just them running around, very similar to this. Where
Rock and Roll High School.
Yep. Eat the Rich, the Motorhead movie. You get so famous that eventually they just make a movie based around your idea.
A lot of the movies you're naming and a lot of the musicians you're naming went on to like make award-winning movies that were actually considered to be important pieces of visual media. Whereas this movie, I never heard of it until this week.
Well, I mean, we got an amazing cinematographer out of it.
That's
like this guy is like the Michael Caine of DOPs. Like Michael Caine is running around in a fucking Muppets Christmas Carol.
That's true.
Yeah. All the scenery and is like, I don't care that this is a Muppets movie. I'm still gonna do my job and do it well.
Yeah.
To be fair, Muppets Christmas Carol is a better movie than this movie.
I think you guys
Agree
probably
to
have seen-
disagree.
you guys
Okay,
have
fair
probably
enough. I'm
seen
sorry, B.
the reason that Michael Caine and Tim Curry did so well in Muppet movies is because Michael Caine saw the Muppets as legitimate actors, and Tim Curry saw himself as a Muppet. He's like, I'm just a Muppet.
I'm just a Muppet anyway.
Yeah.
Great. So we've kind of nailed down the vibe of this movie. It's filmed. A lot of parts are filmed like a music video. There's about an hour of just like stuff happening in this film artistically. And then there's about 30 minutes of plot sort of spread along. The plot is very thin. It's very basic, but it is a classic story of boy meets girl. Girl's like, no, and boy falls for girl, and they have their little falling out, and then they end up back together. There's an
Boy
abusive
meets girl,
boyfriend.
boy steals organizer.
Yeah.
Girl demands organizer back.
Then
Listen,
steals
let's-
girl from shitty boyfriend.
Let's get into the body so we can break down that fucking organizer.
The body of the episode.
The body of the episode.
Right, we've made it. We talked about tertiary ideas of the film for the last 30 minutes. So that means we get to the point of the show where we break down the plot and we talk about the movie. So let me set the scene. Let me set the scene for all y'all. Basically, we get a music video. Vanilla Ice is playing in a show. He's playing in a club. And then they're riding to the next town, I think, after he meets Monique. Monique never comes back, and he was pretty smitten. She was pretty smitten. I thought that they were going to go the distance, but she's only used as a plot device for the rest of the movie.
I legitimately thought she was going to return at some point.
So did I.
But she didn't. Yeah.
But
Isn't
I
that
think
Bobby Brown, by the way?
It is, yeah.
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 Not the makeup Bobby Brown, like the
And
model.
not Millie Bobby Brown. Yeah, the model, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
she's
Also, during that opening sequence,
Naomi
what's her
Campbell
face?
is there.
Naomi Campbell is there, and it's her name is across the screen because this is also like the credits part as well, where the credits are playing,
Mhm.
which is I love a good credit scene. I think that if it's just like black with lettering, like a lot of horror movies are, it's kind of boring, kind of takes me out of it. But if the credits are happening during like an opening sequence, makes sense. I'm like, oh, surely this is going to be the last time I have to sit through a Vanilla Ice music video.
So
Spoilers.
I
Nope.
kind of have always hated music videos like my whole life, specifically when it's just the musicians being filmed. I like music videos where there's like a story and there's like, there's some sort of plot happening and it's set to the music, not necessarily like, I don't care to see like musicians just playing instruments in like a white room with weird stuff happening. I know. Shoot me already, would you?
You're talking to someone who grew up on Much Music, and
No, I know.
I taped over my parents' wedding
Yeah.
with my favorite Backstreet Boys videos.
Okay, well, I feel like that says more about you than me. But
No, you really, really hate like
I don't hate them. I just
music.
like I don't have the appreciation that a lot of people do. Where
okay,
like,
I love them, which is
like,
probably
there's a-
why I love this movie.
there's a band
Yeah.
called C2C, and like they make these music videos that are animated, and they take sort of an idea and they set it to the music, and it's sort of a short film set to the music. I like those types of music videos. I don't really like when it's just people dancing in a void or people that are just playing instruments in a void, and that's what both bookends of this movie are to me. Is like, Jason, you're saying that white text on a black background as the credits is boring and sort of like you get lost in it, or you sort of fall off in terms of interest. I feel the same way about a lot of music videos where I'm like, I don't care that you know how to freaking dance.
No, I cut a
If your sweater
particular.
was not so nice, I would have questions about your taste.
It's a Street Fighter sweater.
I know, it's cool.
Listen, I'm not, and I'm also not disparaging anybody who likes it. I just personally need something visually stimulating and like something that I'm unraveling in terms of a story. If it's just people dancing, it's not a story, and I don't care. And that's how I.
Steve's got some quirks.
That's how I felt about the intro and the outro to this movie, which were both 8 fucking minutes long. Where I'm like, oh my god, can I skip this? Will I get in trouble on the podcast if I skip this? And I didn't skip it. I watched it.
Well,
Watch both
I
of them.
almost skipped it, but just for time constraint, because I was like, yeah, this is a good song. That's the thing about a lot of the music in this is it's my favorite part of this movie is actually the soundtrack. It's a lot of the dance stuff I grew up with. Vanilla Ice's music is pretty like inoffensively like decent. You know, he had a pretty good flow. It's just the words he's saying are kind of goofy. Like if you listen to Vanilla Ice rap, what he's saying over and over is just how good of a rapper he is. And I'm like, rap about something. Anyway,
that's all
my
it kind of
nitpick.
has to be at that point.
Of
right?
course, his music is good. It's all ripped off of Queen.
Yeah,
that's true.
He was sort of gimmicky in his era, and I think that his main goal was to remain unoffensive in terms of like, I don't maybe want to try and make a statement because then I'm putting myself in a certain position where people are either going to agree or disagree, and I'd rather just be sort of like palatable to everybody, which I can appreciate. You know, like it's
his name is Vanilla Ice, not Vanilla Spice.
Yeah, exactly.
Vanilla in itself
is just
a very inoffensive
tells you everything you need to
brand.
know.
It's the
if you look up Vanilla Ice on Google, it's literally pictures of Vanilla Ice and vanilla ice cream. That's what pops up when you
you know though, like I gotta say, if I have to eat ice cream, I'm fine with eating vanilla. Like I would maybe rather have something else, but vanilla is fine. Like, it's fine.
Even man crimes are like the most.
It's like tax evasion.
Crime. No, he got in trouble for having expired pet tags for his wallaby and his goat.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's why he got canceled.
Yeah. Those are things that I didn't even know were crimes. Yeah. So, like,
but look at what happened with MC Hammer, where MC Hammer had a similar trajectory where he just had his couple one-hit wonders, but the second he switched to the name Hammer and tried to write like real rap and hip hop, nobody gave a shit anymore. And I think Vanilla Ice knew that if he didn't stick to this persona, he wouldn't have the longevity that he did. And it wasn't very long, right? It was still, it's a moment in time, but I wouldn't necessarily consider him a one-hit wonder because he was able to waylay off a one-hit single into a bit of a, film career. And now when he
became Amish. He was a juggalo. Now
like everybody has a juggalo phase. Yeah.
Who didn't have a juggalo phase?
I mean, I'm still in my juggalo phase. I just don't. I don't shed it.
I painted Jason as a juggalo like
2 nights in a row.
Ago. Oh, that was you. I saw those pictures. They're very good.
Thank you.
Very, very.
Yeah, B did all the makeup for. The first night was like a better night in my opinion because it felt more like a cohesive show, and the second night was kind of like, yeah, I guess so. And you bounced immediately. You're like, okay, I'm out. I gotta go do Halloween stuff. But anyway, I digress.
I had to. Otherwise, I would have stayed.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It was very good. I got to show those to my my best friend from when we were literally buying ICP albums, and his mind was blown. But after this music video opening segment, I'm watching this whole movie going like, why are they in this town? And the longer you watch, the more you realize they literally are just passing through and a motorcycle breaks down, and they happen to stop at a house that is, like we were saying, out of a Tim Burton movie with these eccentric farmers or something. Just the weirdest.
Or mechanics. What are you talking about?
It feels like if the writer did a lot of acid with Dr. Seuss, this is what would happen.
They're like Pee Wee Herman's extended family from a different town. You know, Pee Wee is definitely a relative of theirs in some capacity. They may or may not even know that Pee Wee exists, but we now know that they exist, and all we really wanted.
Sure Pee Wee is their adult son.
Maybe, yeah. I would not be surprised.
The playhouse is just in the backyard. They just
at the very least, Pee Wee Herman was spawned by somebody similar to this couple. And
I mean, come on. The whole point of Pee Wee's Big Adventure is the bike. They fix bikes.
Oh my God, you're right.
It's all making sense.
Vanilla Ice saw Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure and he's like, yo, I could do it better.
Now that's a theory and a half if I've ever heard a theory on this show.
I just feel bad for the sandwich he made his co-star eat.
I love that sandwich.
That is a Fear Factor sandwich.
I said, what did I write? I said that is the most bitter looking sandwich, or the tardiest sandwich I've ever seen. You bite into that and you're gonna it's like biting into a warhead. But I would take a bite. I would like to see what that flavor combination would do to me.
I actually thought they were going to stop at peanut butter and pickle, which for some reason, peanut butter and pickle was a joke in the early 90s. Everybody was like, well, imagine that. I had a friend, and I thought that's where this movie or where that
Imagine
sandwich
that.
came from. And I had a friend who saw it in something else. They do it in another movie or a TV show or something. And he used to legitimately eat them. I think it was the butt of a joke because pregnant women love weird foods, right? And that was always a sitcom joke in the 90s. And I had a friend.
You telling
who
me
once...
you've never tried pickle and peanut butter before?
No.
All right, well then don't disparage it, you pervert. It's good.
I'm not
it's fucking
disparaging.
good.
I can see that it would be good. I've had a peanut butter burger with an egg on it that probably had pickle, so that makes sense.
True. Yeah, I mean, there was like a weird brief period where one of my friends started getting obsessed with putting pickles on everything just to see what it would do to the profile of the flavor. And we discovered a lot of weird things that like are actually made better with pickles. And I don't even really like pickles that much. Like I like a raw pickle when it's on its own, yum, but I don't usually put it on a lot of stuff. We put pickles on pizza and I was shocked. I was like, this
Pickle on
this is
pizza is
amazing.
great.
But you have to like, you don't put it in the oven with the pickle on it. You put the pickle on afterwards so that it's like nice and sort of like juicy still. But pickle, peanut butter, sardines, and then mustard, right?
Mustard.
That was it. There wasn't anything else on it. Like they didn't throw like marshmallows on there.
I think like salt and pepper too. With
Oh,
like
right,
those
those giant-
ridiculous fucking salt and pepper.
Where they do like
shakers.
the sort of like almost like a Naked Gun gag where it looks like they're just close to the camera and then she goes to reach for it and it's actually massive and she's like trying to daintily put this huge salt shaker onto the blue,
Yeah, that was
hard-boiled
separate.
eggs.
And I wanted to
Right,
ask you guys what were those things that she was eating? Those like weird
Eggs. Hard-boiled
Eggs.
They were like blue.
Yeah, but they're in a fucking wild house where the walls are newspaper and like the chairs are giant cellos and stuff.
Have you never had ramen eggs where the
Of course.
eggs are like, okay, so you know how the outside is brown.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
Those
it's-
are
it's-
probably just Kool-Aid eggs.
that's true. I was gonna say they're fermented in like cotton candy that's been melted or Kool-Aid. Yeah, you're right.
Ow, my brain hurts thinking about that. But you know what? I'll try
I
it.
feel
If
like
this-
we need to do like a Fear Factor style challenge where we eat all of the food in this film.
Absolutely. I was going to suggest maybe next year we do our own commentary track for this movie because I think that would be a funny. Because Steve, you're right. We should have at least watched this movie, the two of us together. We should have at least done that, especially since we were recording it on a special date. This is live. Don't worry. This is live.
Merry Fishmas.
Merry Christmas. Would you like some sardines on your sandwich?
Peanut butter pickle sardine mustard sandwich? Anyone? I do kind of want to try it though because I like all the ingredients. I just don't know. Obviously, I don't know what it would taste like, but like I can kind of imagine that it would be very tart, and then the peanut butter would maybe balance out the weirdness of it all.
It would
It's
be
the fish
so
part that I
salty.
think-
It would be
Yeah,
so
it's the
salty. Yeah.
It's the fish part that I can't get over because those canned fish are very like it's like
I love 'em.
anchovies and sardines.
I
It's
love 'em.
like I like
Yeah.
it, but
I
it's
love 'em.
so salt. So salt.
I lived with some roommates for like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years or whatever. And I would always buy canned sardines and I would like smush them into toast and butter and just eat them. And everybody in the house thought I was like a psychopath murderer or something. I'm like, you guys, and I'm like, have you ever tried it? And they're like, no, I would never try it. I'm like, well, then you're the psychopath, not me. At least I've
People that
opened to
don't
other
like
ideas.
anchovies have clearly never actually had anchovies. They're intense.
It's because
but-
movies and television shows made it like a weird stigmatized thing for
I
decades.
have had anchovies. I do not like anchovies.
You don't like anchovies.
I
That's-
actually
I'm not a
that's
big
only-
fish person though.
Yeah, I don't really like them either, and it's because they're a little bit too salty. They're basically just little pockets of salt on a slice of pizza. Yeah.
That's the thing that people don't realize. It's not that they're fishy, it's that they're super salty. But pineapple on pizza is the thing that the internet has, and
I also love pineapple on pizza. Oh, that's
I
the
love
other thing he puts on the
pineapple
on pizza.
sandwich.
yeah,
He
he
puts
puts
pineapple on the
pineapple
sandwich.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew there was one
Yeah.
other thing. It all came back to pineapple in the end. Thank God.
What an
We're back on
insane
track.
sandwich. I didn't think we were going to get a solid 5 minutes on that sandwich, but you know what? Here on Hey, Did You See This One? You never know. Fun fact, Vanilla Ice's style in this film influenced the 90s fashion scene with bold colors, bomber jackets, and the infamous flat top haircut. So the movie did poorly, but his style was basically a catalyst for a lot of the...
Is that your note, or are you saying that like it's a fact?
It's a fact. It's a fun fact.
Via you or the internet told you this?
The internet.
Okay. I just
My
wasn't sure.
cousins for the longest time too had different styles shaved into their head.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I love that Vanilla Ice couldn't pick a style or his barber got bored halfway through. So we've got like the one
Leopard
style on
print
the
on one
side.
Yeah.
I think it's like
It's like a
bricks.
Yeah, it's like a house.
And then the other side is just like zigzags. And then he originated the like lesbian eyebrow slit.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that too is I had some friends in the cooking world who would put the one slit in, and that's Vanilla Ice. It's either you have an injury, you have a scar, and it happens naturally, or Vanilla Ice's
My
style.
friend had that scar, and it's because it's like the dumbest. You look at him and you're like, oh man, he got into like a knife fight or something. Turns out, no, he had an eyebrow piercing, and he took a sweater off and ripped it out of his own face. I'm like, okay, well, that's just you being dumb, man. You didn't get into a knife fight.
Just tell people you got into a knife fight at that point.
That's absolutely what I would do.
Yeah.
I had another friend who had a gnarly scar on his face, and it made him look, like kind of intimidating. But I was there when he got it, and a cat scratched him in the face. Like, these people with these facial scars, it's just they're dumb. Most of them are just dumb. They're not warriors of the streets.
not like Johnny Van. What's his name in this movie?
Van Owen.
Yeah, I think he should have just
They gave
kept
him
Rob
a last
Van.
name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she
I
says
only know
it
that
when
because
she
of the
holds up
Wikipedia
his.
page.
But she says it when she holds up his card, and then that's how he's reminded that his name is Rob Van Winkle in real life. Which,
right?
You know what? He should have just kept that as his rap name. That would have been great. I think
It's so close to Rip Van Winkle. It's crazy. Like, how does he? I mean, we know why he had to change it.
There's nothing even remotely tough about the last name Van Winkle.
Van Winkle.
Imagine
he should have been Rap Van Winkle.
Imagine he always like wrapped in like a nightgown and like a nightcap with like a candle.
Real
He
sleepy.
He did the exact same dances.
Okay.
So
speaking of ridiculous things in this movie, the next sequence is they're riding up on their motorcycles, and he sees a beautiful woman on a horse who she can't be any older than 17 based on this being like a high school movie. All of these people are 30. I don't care what you say to me. I don't care what their actual age is.
I'm more concerned about how
30 years old.
His character age is supposed to be. What he just rolls into a town on a yellow motorcycle and then is like, I'm gonna bang this high schooler.
Yeah.
Like, what? Excuse me, sir. Get out of our town. But
maybe Michael
Well,
Gross
no,
was right.
she's about to be a college girl, and he's like, maybe she can tell me what all these words on my jacket mean. She can do my reading.
Actually, that's a good point. Maybe
Clearly,
she's
he
actually
doesn't know.
Yeah.
Well, she loves him immediately, so maybe she's actually an idiot, and she got held back a grade. So she's actually 19 in this movie, and he's 21. So that's what I'm going to choose to
again.
believe.
She did something for
Horse
the community or something. Oh, she's just a horse person?
She rides horses. She won an
now,
award
for 15 minutes. Local horse girl. Hello there. Tell us about your parents. My dad's
pretty
nice.
much.
He's a nice guy.
But this is the sequence where he sees her, and to impress her, he goes off a jump over the fence, and then
almost
she's not
kills her.
impressed.
Scares her horse.
Yeah.
And
She almost gets
kills her.
She almost gets Christopher Reeves at this moment.
Jason.
No, I almost didn't say it.
I thought the joke as well during the movie, but I didn't write it down because I was like, that's a curdled joke.
Sorry.
He scares her horse, recklessly endangers her life, and steals her organizer, and doesn't understand why she's a little cold to him at first.
Right.
But she isn't really, though. It takes like 5 seconds for her to be like, I'm horny for this guy for some reason. Other than him being handsome,
horny too many times.
Her other boyfriend, Nick, is worse, so I get like the comparison.
But we also don't see that he's worse until later. So like he just seems dweeby for the most part, and then he gets kind of like violent or whatever.
And then he becomes an anti-drinking PSA.
Yeah.
An
Why don't you slow down, Nick? You're driving. Like, I also love having fun, bitch. Like,
Bitch.
Nick, what the heck?
What a heel turn.
Yeah.
I also wrote she's a little bit country and he's a little bit rock and roll. So I thought that was going to be the story. That's not the story at all. She's into it as soon as she gets that black book back, that planner.
She's into it before that, man. She's into it when she thinks about him later on, like after that same interaction. Even when he's leaving with the first time him and Nick meet, she's laughing at every diss that he drops on Nick. She thinks it's hilarious. And I'm like, whoa, fuck, man. I would be kind of upset. You're like, what are you doing? This guy's making fun of me and you're just laughing? What the heck? But he gets back on his bike and he rolls off.
Yeah, this is when they get to the house. The motorcycle's broken down. They meet the kooky family, crazy old man with the crazy house.
Like, all of the people staring at them as they're rolling through.
Yeah,
town. And like it's then revealed that he's towing the other one, right? Like the other bike behind it. So I'm like, oh, okay, that would be kind of weird to see, but it's clear that they're not gaping, like they're not gawking at them because of that. They're like, their mouths are agape just because they exist, like, look at these people.
Well, they're all mouth breathers.
Yeah, it's true the whole time.
Especially when they go to that little club. When they go to that little club later, and this movie is also so pro rap and dance and hip hop that the idea of rock and roll puts them in this like stuffy bar where they can't play their instruments. Which I was like,
oh yeah, where they're murdering Sly and the Family Stone.
Yeah, like what a weird way to present the difference between rock and rap, because rock and rap are very much like in the same, like they're over here and they're sort of always exploring the boundaries of music. They should have had them playing
like
Aerosmith
and Run DMC had just released Walk This Way not
like
too
3
long
years
before.
ago. Yeah. Like it's just a funny way to present it. If anything, they should have been playing.
I didn't really see it as like them trying to say that rock is shit so much as they were just saying that this particular group of people were bad. Yeah, they were like greasy weirdos who were like humping the mic stands and stuff, and it was just like, okay, these guys are.
The lead singer gave me very like we have Gilbert Gottfried at home vibes.
Mm-hmm. It would have been great if it was Gilbert Gottfried just up there doing his.
Also, why are all these women who are supposed to be like high school and college age dressed like Diane Keaton?
Because they're good country girls.
They went to the town from Dirty Dancing. They ended up in the town from Dirty Dancing.
One thing that I kind of felt the vibe of this movie, I was like, this movie seems like it takes place in the same universe as the Mystery Men movie. Like Mystery Men is like the metropolis of of this world, and this is just sort of like a country town within the same universe as Mystery Men. And
where did Clark Kent grow up? This is Smallville.
This is the Smallville of the Mystery Men universe. And Vanilla Ice is a superhero, but his superpower is hitting on underage girls and motorcycling.
I mean, I feel like that's a lot of men on the Warped Tour as well. So
true.
Wow, that's a shots fired if I've ever heard one. But you're right. All of those old alternative punk and pop punk band members are all horrible, and they all did horrible things.
The Mystery Men universe, like, people aren't really actually superheroes. Most of them, right? They're all just, it's sort of like Watchmen, where the majority of them are just people in costumes, and then there's like maybe one or two superheroes. And I feel like he's part of one of the gangs, the gangs that would roll into Metro City.
Vanilla Ice is Dr. Manhattan. And he's got the same aura and the same, I'm gonna go sit on the moon,
right?
Wonder reality.
He's like, oh, it's ice cold up here.
Oh, his brooding scenes are my favorite in the movie.
Well, he can't pout. He can't not be a man. So when he's depressed and sad about Kathy later in the movie, he has to be like an asshole to everybody.
It's funny though, because like they never really give you a moment of endearment for him. Like, he's so full of himself. You don't really learn about his history all that much. You don't find a moment to be like, I understand this man, because he's like too perfect, but he's also so stupid, and like everything that he does is like kind of unlikable. And I'm like, in any other movie, this man would be a villain. Like, he would be the bad guy that would get beaten up. The scene where
like I said, this is a Mary Sue for Vanilla Ice. Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is just Vanilla Ice.
He just thought he was like, this is the coolest shit ever made. And I'm like, you are the biggest nerd out of everybody. Even the nerdy characters in this movie are less nerdy than you are. Remember that weird montage when she goes into her house, and then there's like this weird music video, like a 90s music video montage of like the family just moving around in really fast motion, and the camera's like
Yep.
at odd
And the kid
angles,
playing video games.
yeah, and he's like, and there's like
Yeah.
weird sound effects, like when she's putting down all the plates, like it's like shattering plate sound effects, like
It felt like a Tang commercial from the 90s.
It
Yeah.
felt like a Gushers commercial is what it felt like.
all
And that's
true.
this director does music videos and commercials, so he's just playing in his wheelhouse, honestly.
Yep.
He had an unused
I called it the
Gushers
nightmare
script.
montage because it made me feel anxious. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
how long is this gonna go for? Oh, please move on.
There are moments in this movie where you feel like you're on a lot of drugs without having taken any drugs. I have always
Mhm.
seen this movie sober and always questioned my sobriety during the film.
This was a rare time where, since I was watching this on a Friday night, waiting for the fight to start last night, I was drinking. I never drink when I'm watching a movie. That might have actually enhanced it for me a little bit, because when you drink, music sounds better, in my opinion, and the music was really hitting. I found
I was not.
you were like rush watching it this
I was
afternoon
like,
while working.
I need to do work. No, I didn't do it while working. I watched the movie without working. I was like, because my work is I record my voice, so I can't be watching a movie while also like talking. But I was kind of like, all right, I got work to do. Come on, Ice, we get it. You're trying to bang this teenager at a construction site for some reason. I don't know why here, but there's so many other places you could have taken her.
When you put it that way, it sounds so bad.
That's what happened. That was literally what was happening in the movie.
Vanilla Ice was so unlikable that Suge Knight assaulted him into giving him the rights to his music. And instead of people getting mad at Suge Knight, it just became a joke that we are still telling decades later.
Yeah, it's the trope when anybody's dangled over a railing in a movie or a comedy or something or a sitcom. That's the referencing basically that.
Yeah.
I think maybe Suge Knight saw it in a movie and was doing it too.
That's true. That's also a good point. He probably saw it in a movie in the
we're all
70s.
making that reference.
Okay.
It's just very embarrassing that it actually happened to somebody in real life, because it's one of those things that's so unbelievable. You're like, that no one would ever dangle somebody over the side of a building. It's like, no, Vanilla Ice had it happen to him.
I think Suge Knight did that
It's
to
all
a
in his
bunch of
book,
people.
Ice
though.
by
I think that
Ice,
was his
written by
thing.
Vanilla Ice.
We do get the moment here where Kathy is with Kevin, and I think that's his name, and Vanilla Ice walks up to both of them. This is where he like steals
about
her. Nick, I don't know. I wrote Kevin. I don't care.
He calls him
He's
Dick
such a-
all the time because his name.
Oh,
is
yeah.
Dick. He calls him Dick instead.
He manages to make out with the planner, but this is where we get the famous line, drop that zero and get with the hero. And he's like, he says it and he's so pleased with himself. He's like, yeah,
He
I
says
just
it
said
like
the
he
greatest
invented
thing.
that phrase, but it's
Yeah.
really.
I'm pretty sure he wrote the entire movie around that phrase.
He came up with that
You
phrase
really
and wrote
thought he did
backwards.
something,
Yeah.
essentially.
Years later, Disney got into hot water because they wrote Zero to Hero for the Hercules movie, and they realized, like, oh no, this was in Cool as Ice. We need to contact Vanilla Ice immediately to make sure we can clear this.
I'm sure they
she's-
just dangled him out the window.
You're gonna let us do it, Ice. And he's like,
Mickey
"Oh,
Mouse
God."
is dangling Vanilla Ice out of the
Bob Iger-
castle.
Bob Iger or whatever.
Bob
Give me the
Iger,
rights to this, or I'm gonna drop you, motherfucker!
You better listen to what he says.
She's super unimpressed with him and brushes him off. You guys posit that she might have been impressed at this point.
The camera keeps
No.
slow pushing on her.
I don't
doing
think he was.
a
She
pervy
was.
smile. She's like,
She's she's
constantly
playing coy.
thinking about it. I wrote down in my notes, she's way too horny for this loser. Why does she fucking love this guy?
Look, it's a really small town. When Nick is
It's
the
true,
best
yeah.
of the slim pickings there.
And he's only good because he has a convertible.
Yeah.
With the flip out eyeballs at the front. I know they're not.
I think the
eyeballs,
most
they're called
egregious thing
headlights.
I think the most egregious thing in this whole movie is towards the end, and we'll bring it back up when we get there. But he says something along the lines of like, "Listen, if you walk away from me now, and go with that guy. You're never gonna see me or this car again. And I'm like, you just threatened her with a bad time. So why would she?
That was the end of the movie. The very end. Yeah. And Nick needs to work on his ultimatums. He's not really good at it. He's never had to do it before.
She's like, I'm on the back of a sick motorcycle right now with the world's most handsome rapper.
And now I'm gonna use your
and
car.
we are about
as
to
a
jump
ramp.
your car.
So
after the nightmare montage, we get the moment where she's on TV, and then her dad is on TV as well. And then there's, I don't know, criminal mobster men in a bar that also see it, and they're like, turn this up right now. And I'm like, why is that being played in the bar? For one, a bar would never put on a local puff piece about a horse girl. It would be like some sort of.
I mean, the bar probably had 3 channels.
That's true. Yeah.
This was 1991.
But then after this moment, the soundtrack for the movie changes to Super Mario Brothers 3 for 10 minutes.
Super Mario Brothers 3 is just the kids playing it. Just they never show it.
No, because they probably weren't allowed to show it, but they got the music, and the music, whoever edited this, genius, because they choose the perfect music from that game for the moments to like up the tension of what's going on. Like it's the jaunty music when afterwards, when he's getting phone calls from his friends to be like, I saw you on TV, and he's like, oh, thanks. But then as soon as the situation turns dire, we get the Bowser music in the background. And I'm like, how the fuck did they get away with this? Was this movie made by the same production company that made The Wizard?
No, in the credits, there was a special thanks to Nintendo of America. There was a credit.
I mean,
that doesn't answer my question, really. Just because
Vanilla Ice got away with stealing a lot of people's music to use as samples.
He was like, "Yo, just use the Mario Brothers 3 music." This is how he is to me in every situation.
I'm sure he contacted Shigeru Miyamoto or whoever it was at the time and was like, "Yo, I'm gonna sample this video game in one of my projects." And they were like, "I don't know why I did this just now. I just feel like this is vanilla." I don't even know what side he's from.
Yeah.
Whether it's west side or east side or whatever.
He's from the north side.
He's from everywhere and nowhere.
Yeah, he's from everywhere and nowhere. He's from out of time. He's from the Van Winkle verse. So
I can tell you where he's from. Hold on.
True. It's on page 1. Yo, that's the first line in the book. Yo.
Well, in the last line of the movie, isn't even the last line of the movie. There's at the end of the credits, there's a dash and it says B, the letter B, cool with a K, of course. Stay N, school, spelled SKOOL. So
cool, stay in school. He spelled it wrong. He spelled school wrong.
Yeah, he spelled the whole everything wrong except for the word stay.
They had Vanilla Ice spell things.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the only reason that everything was spelled properly on his jacket was he had somebody else do it for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so this is where he's from. From chapter 1 called Ice Formations. Starts with, if there's a problem, yo, I'll solve it.
Yep.
Some people don't have a choice about the way their lives go. They really don't. They might think they do, but the way outside things push them in a certain direction, there's really no choice. You do what you got to do. That's what it was like for me. I was born in 1967 on Halloween. I lived with my mother, and my older half brother Kip in Hialeah, a suburb of Miami.
Kip Van Winkle.
Yep.
Kip Van Winkle is
from Miami.
Name?
Yeah.
Oh my god, his parents were fucked.
Oh, there's a story in here about how he stole his brother's underwear, dirty underwear, and like threw them at him. So Kip beat the shit out of him. And he makes it seem like the most normal thing ever.
That opening paragraph you just read, like there's no narrator in this movie, but that's the cadence sounds like what a narrator for this movie would sound like, and it would just be him talking.
Me and my brother Kip Van Winkle, we were in a tussle after I stole his dirty underwear and threw them in his face. Yo.
And he beat the shit out of me. Dun, 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 dun. Kathy's jealous boyfriend Nick, who doesn't take kindly to Johnny's flirtations, setting up a rivalry. Johnny's swagger clashes with Nick's preppy personality. Fun fact, this is actually a pretty fun fact. Vanilla Ice improvised much of his dialogue, adding to Johnny's eccentric, unpredictable vibe. That makes sense. And I feel like the script at large was mostly unwritten, because a lot of the times when the goons are talking, those criminal dudes, it just sounds like the director said, just say some stuff.
Yeah. Like when, yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean,
I do like that they gave them a weird vibe that they might just be gay lovers, like throughout, because they keep calling everybody cute and handsome and hot. Like
that's true.
Like, he looks good, doesn't he? Yeah, he looks great. He looks like a snack. Looks like someone I'd like to take a bite out of over here. And you're like, oh my god, these guys are probably kissing between their long stretches of road that they need to cover. They also
I love that they sound like the villains from the 1990s cartoon Cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're from Empire City. It's crime fighting time. And like they're like, remember they're like, yeah, he looks pretty cute, doesn't he? Yeah, he's beautiful. He's fucking beautiful, as he's walking away. And they're like eating burgers, but like spitting them out for some reason. He's like, you're a real fucking slob, you know that? And I'm like, are we gonna get any character development from these two? The answer is no. We don't really need it. They're like Batman goons, you know, like the kind of guys that would be like, I heard that Johnny Gat was taken away by the bat last night. Oh, the bat. There ain't no such thing as the bat. All right.
They look like the criminals that hang out with that guy that has the puppet, who's just like a regular gangster. Like, yeah.
Scarface.
His goons would just be these guys. Or Penguin kind of has guys like this too. That's one of the
things that I love about this movie, though, is it really feels like Vanilla Ice wrote it. And yes, he improvised a lot of what he said because he couldn't read his own writing.
Yeah, I was gonna say he couldn't remember his dialogues. He just would say what he was feeling.
Or that,
yeah. He thinks he's a cross between James Dean and Batman. Like the fight sequence in this movie are so poorly choreographed. He does the one when he's fighting Nick. He just keeps getting him in an armbar like over and over. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they probably
guys with bats.
They probably hired They probably hired a stunt coordinator.
How they don't ever attack him at once.
No, one by one, like
Batman.
Guys, maybe if we gang up on this guy, we could take him down. No, we're just gonna attack him one on one. Okay,
all right,
you're up. Like a solid plan.
Johnny Gat, get him. Go overhand baseball bat swing, grab it. You know, he does a palm, like a Riker punch at the end into Nick's face. And I'm like, oh, we saw this last week or a couple of weeks ago on I'm sorry, I've broken the visage.
You've broken the fourth wall. You've broken the
curtain
has
been destroyed. Yeah, in Con Air,
Con
the
Air.
he goes to prison is because he Riker punches a guy in the nose and breaks his nose. In this movie, he doesn't break Nick's nose so bad that the bones go into his brain or whatever. Whatever the fuck we were talking about.
He just has that goofy nose.
But I feel like they probably hired like a stunt coordinator, and Vanilla Ice was like, "No, I don't need to practice. We'll just film it on the day, and we can do it. It's fine." And like,
well, he's such a good dancer.
Ice, I can do my own stunts.
Yeah, he's such a good dancer. You would think he would have a little bit more gusto in a fight scene, but he looked so clueless. Like they did one shot. Or like one take.
I think he's a good dancer.
Punching somebody is different than doing the worm.
Yeah,
I guess so.
He's like, and then I'll worm him to death after that.
But like, does the worm on him?
He does sort of the same kind of like 4 to 6 dance moves in everything. You know, it's just like he does hops and his legs move together in the air, and like he just does. Like,
the treadmill is running too fast. Oh shit! I just got hit by lightning.
Yeah. The dodge slow bullets where like he's being shot at. He's doing like
the early stages of the power line choreography from the Disney movie, a Goofy movie. Like,
listen, I was going to bring this up at the end of the show, but I'm going to show you the greatest dance move ever put to screen right now. I clipped it. I need you guys to see this move.
very gay.
I mean,
That was gay
it's
sex.
very gay. It feels inspired by wrestling.
Yeah,
He
it
could've-
does. Yeah, you're right.
Power bombed him from that, or give him a Styles Clash from that one part.
You put his face in the guy's butt, and then you put his wiener in the guy's face. I would like
He
to see
mounts
more of
them
that.
at the very beginning too. Like
If
gets
they
on
were
top
not
of
wearing
him from
clothes,
behind
people
for a
would think they were
second.
going to do it. That's all I'm
They
saying.
would be doing it.
I mean,
Actually,
I still feel like they're going to
Yeah, I
do
feel
it.
that way as well. Yeah, even
Yeah.
with the clothes on, swimming around in those giant suits.
I have a question for you guys. If Vanilla Ice existed now, what do you think he would do, be? Like, what do you think? Like, if he was, whatever age he is here, we're like 20 or whatever, and he's young and handsome and had, he'd be Mark Twain.
He would absolutely be. And I know guys that are the modern Vanilla Ice. He would be an influencer with a SoundCloud rapper thing.
Okay.
And he would use words like Riz and say he was Sigma.
Okay, so you think that he would be full brain rot internet culture influencer?
Absolutely.
He would build up a sports persona, and then he would have gimmicky fights, and he would have to fight Mike Tyson last night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
So Logan and Jake Paul might be the modern day Vanilla Ice.
I think so, yeah.
I'd say they're more badass than the modern Vanilla Ice.
I think though that Vanilla Ice did not come from from what you've read from the excerpts of his Ice by Ice autobiography.
I think Vanilla Ice is actually the grandfather of cringe culture.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I love that.
I think he was
so
one of the great influencers of modern day cringe.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I feel like MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, also was kind of 10 years ago.
That's a good call.
10 years ago.
Yes, that is a perfect comparison.
Because he's like, I'm such a good rapper, I can hang with Eminem, and then it's like, oh, actually, no, I'm alternative emo now.
Is that what happened? Like, what? I don't really know anything about him.
Yeah, he started as a rapper and then changed to more like rock.
I know. All I know is
also
that.
Bad.
Well, yeah, because he said something about Vanilla Ice. Ironically, Vanilla Ice, Eminem, MGK.
Yeah. Well, Slim Shady. The Slim Shady persona is more of this line. I think Marshall Mathers as a rapper is much a much different.
Oh yeah, he's
more artistic.
But that's the thing is, he said something about Marshall's daughter.
Yeah.
Eminem took offense to it, called him out. Machine Gun Kelly wrote a diss track about Eminem.
Sucked.
And then Eminem wrote a diss track back that basically
made him stop rapping.
Yeah, and he stopped rapping after that. So yeah, like Machine Gun Kelly, or I'd say Drake, but that's just because I really, really hate Drake and I find him very cringy.
Sucks. Right. He's like the son of cringe culture though. He's just everything he does is cringy.
Yeah.
And now he's pretty much done because
he's also like a weird criminal. So yeah, let's just he likes. I remember like
with the world's most punchable face.
He's got a very
Kelly
punchable
said something
face.
that like made me feel like, who is this douchebag? And it was like the Legend of Zelda movie was released, and when somebody says something that's so like it makes them seem like they really only think about themselves and nobody else in existence. He said, like, when it was announced that this movie was going to come out, he said, if I'm not playing Link, then we're going to have a big problem. And he said that like full chested, and everyone's like, all right, buddy. No, not a single soul on earth other than you wants to see you play Link from the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. Let's just let that sink in for a second, because I hated him.
All I really did
I hate him so much more now.
Like, why would you say that? And why would you think that? Isn't he like 40? Like, how old is he? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely in his 30s. He's maybe because he's lanky. He might be too tall to play Link.
Link isn't lanky. Even. Link is just like an elf. Yeah. I think he just thinks that he looks like an elf. He's like,
he looks elfin.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know who Vanilla Ice would be right now? Vanilla Ice would be an anime fan.
Oh my god.
I say that with my whole chest. Vanilla Ice would be an anime fucking cosplayer.
But like an annoying one, because there's lots of people who like anime that are fine, but there are some that are not.
There are a lot who are not. I go to a lot of conventions.
I said some.
You just basically did the nerd equivalent of not all men.
I did. You know,
Not all anime fans, yeah, but a lot of them.
But a lot of them, yeah. I would say like
most of them.
white men,
Especially
or
white
anime
male
fans have like
in their
very-
30s. anime
One
fans
Piece
are
or My Hero
problematic.
Academia fans, man.
They have
They're
a particular musk about them. Literally.
yeah.
Yeah.
They smell like vinegar and sweaty muscle suits.
Yeah,
They
you
don't
go
know
to
how
a lot
wash
of
their muscle
cons,
suits.
so
They haven't figured out how to do it yet. They're like,
you're probably well aware.
they- I've been to
I don't
1
feel so
million
good, Mr.
cons,
Stark.
so I know as well. But I've never gone. I've only gone to one as like a guest, but like where I'm like I'm gonna go enjoy this. Every other one I've been working, like because I have to, I'm forced to interact with these people and be nice to them. Hey, how's it going? Buy my artwork, please.
No, I get it.
But maybe take a couple steps back because I don't think you brushed your teeth or any part of your body today. Anyway,
Or
I'm
ever.
not here.
Yeah,
to
sorry, weebs. Sorry, all the weeb fans out there. She realizes she lost her black book and that she's instantly horny. Is what I noticed. The motorcycle subplot is insane. It reminds me of the old couple. Kind of reminded me of Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers at first, just how over the top they were. But I think that after we've discussed that, it feels more like Tim Burton. I think I like that analogy a bit better.
I think the Pee-wee's parents perfect.
The hired goons actually kind of remind me of Bulk and Skull a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were talking about for a second because my brain shut down.
Or Bebop and Rocksteady.
I was regretting talking shit about anime fans for a second. I was like, I shouldn't have said that. That was rude. Why did I say that?
Where's my bike at? Oh, and then also
again, the synopsis of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
Or
where's my bike?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure was the movie.
Yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and there's a second Pee-wee, isn't there?
Big Top Pee-wee where he goes to the circus.
Oh, and then there was like a newer one, wasn't there, that came out like a couple of years ago?
Yeah, right before Paul Rubens passed away in like 2000. I think during the pandemic it came out, and I saw it.
Yeah, it was before that, but
That,
oh my god, it's been so long since the pandemic began that I'm like a couple years ago, but it's like no, that was more than 4 years ago.
That was 5 years ago.
Oh Jesus.
It took 5 years for things to feel somewhat normal, but now everybody's just mad all the time about everything. You can't put something back together without taking it apart first, which I thought was a really funny thing because of how perfectly he had all the parts just like laid out.
I did like that too. Like it was meticulous. So they're not crazy people, but they are like, that's like a different version of crazy, you know, like we have to make sure that when we take this apart, everything is laid out exactly in terms of like size and shape. But I'm like, were those pieces all placed out in size and shape, or were they placed out in terms of when he took them out, like in a specific order? Was he actually following the manual, or is he just like kind of putting them together because they look similar and they're like, you know, cascading sizes and shapes? And then I started to realize, like, why am I thinking about this so hard?
Yeah, I was gonna say you were putting way too much thought into anything that went into this movie.
That's what we do on this show.
That purposeful.
No, I know.
We have to speculate on everything.
This is not a David Lynch film.
It feels like it could be though. It feels like it takes place in like an offshoot of Twin Peaks. You know, it could exist as like.
Imagine
no,
David
this
Lynch.
is not like a Dadaist art project. This is just Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
All of his ices are vanilla-ing.
But I'm like wondering if those types of like that whole thing. Was he just like, they live in a crazy fun house, yo? Everything in their house is colorful and kooky and crazy, and that's who they are as people, and that's okay, and we like them. But we also
he basically says that when he sees the house. He's like, that house has a map drawn on it. Look how colorful it is.
They like stop, and he's like, hey guys, look at this weird house. And like all of his friends are like, yeah, that is a really weird house. What a kooky, crazy house.
Look at this cool whack house.
Yeah, exactly. But they're like enjoying it. They're just stopping to like to absorb it for a second.
I mean, I would if I saw that in the wild.
So would I. But what it did for me in terms of like the enjoyment of the movie was it made me completely like that entire group of friends immediately. I'm like, they're the kind of people that will stop and appreciate something, and they're not going to make fun of it so much as they're just going to enjoy that it exists. You know, they're not saying that it's dumb or that it's weird or whack. They're just kind of like, I like that this exists. And then they get sucked into.
His friends were the only likable people in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't do much character growth for them, but I think that's fine because we get to see
What do
that
you
they're all
mean?
just like weird
In
and fun.
montage number 12, we get some real character development when they're dancing for some reason.
I also like the idea that while Vanilla Ice is just off gallivanting, they're just stuck in this house with this old couple who are crazy. They look so like defeated every time they go back. There's this one scene where like one of the guys is sitting and he's like half asleep. And I was like, there must be just nothing to do in this house except for listen to these old people rant about whatever they're ranting about. There's also
write,
that.
Why are they so sleepy? Like that was one of my first notes because like they, there's like a montage of them eating and Vanilla Ice is dancing, but they're all eating and then they all fall asleep and he's still dancing. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, have they been dry? Like, like in a cowboy movie or whatever, when they finally get to a town, they're like, we need to rest because we've been riding for 4 days. Like, is that
we accidentally drive all night or something?
Yeah, exactly. Are they actually very tired? Or
I mean, they kind of left from that concert, and then the next time we see them, they're still driving, and it's morning.
True. Maybe they didn't sleep all night, or maybe that food was so heavy that it just like.
Or the sandwich kind of feels like maybe this guy's a stoner. Maybe they're just all baked to their mind. They just never really allude to it
that,
fully.
Yeah.
They're musicians, so maybe they're all stoners. This is where we get the new goon characters. I know that they're bad because one guy has a gun that he's brandishing and twirling. Also, Vanilla Ice. He's like, I'm gonna go talk to Kathy, and they're like, where are you going? And he goes across the street to schling a schlong. Bro.
I like that. Schling a schlong is good.
Go to horny jail.
That is something that I maybe will use one day if I can remember it. But like,
I love that phrase.
Boner alert.
Yeah, that's excellently played. Did you notice that when he walks up to the house, the camera turns like the camera lens goes like Vaseline, like a soap opera for some reason, just randomly?
It's because he's in love. That's how you know he's in love.
Okay.
Like a porno. When you watch a porno, you're like, these people are in love.
Porno from the 80s. They definitely love each other.
Yeah.
The kid immediately loves Vanilla Ice. And then as he's walking away from the house, the hired goons are there. He's like, how do I get to Sugar Shack? And they fuck with them. And then I noticed this thing. There's this trope that I remembered happens a lot when hired goons are eating food and they have to go. They always spit their food out. You ever notice that? Because he does it here. Then I'm reminded that it happens in like the Three Ninjas movie. It happens. And just a bunch of old.
I'll tell you why it happens, Jason.
Weird trope.
I'll tell you why it happens. It's because those actors have been forced to take bites of food over and over and over again for like 3 hours, and they don't want to swallow it. So instead of waiting for cut, or either you swallow it or you wait for cut and then you spit it out. These guys are like, they're smart. They're like, I'm gonna just spit it out as part of the scene,
make it
so that I don't have to eat 40 bites of a hamburger and swallow it, because then you're barfing, right? Like, you hear stories about actors who have to eat
weak-willed.
Yeah, but like
you can't eat 40 bites of a hamburger. Come on.
Like I was watching.
That's bottom behavior.
I think it was soft bottom behavior too. I think it was like it was Jonah Hill or somebody, and they were talking about how they had to eat sushi or something in a scene, and they made it part of the scene where Leonardo DiCaprio had to eat like a very specific sushi over and over again and swallow it. And so like after they were done shooting, Leonardo DiCaprio was just barfing everywhere because he had to eat 100 pieces of sushi or whatever, right? So I'm like, Leo should have just made it a smart decision and had his character spit it out in the scene as part of his character growth. But I mean, that's how I look at it. But also, it is weird. It's so weird to have somebody spit food out. He says right before he does it too, let me just finish this, and then like spits it out and then sips from his drink.
That is finishing.
Finish him, put him on the ground.
Who hasn't spat after finishing,
I don't know why Spider-Man is perfect for that, but that was great.
I mean, pretty obvious answer to that.
Yeah. Snick, bub. Nope, that's Venom. Nope, that's Wolverine.
That's Wolverine.
Yeah. That's not Wolverine.
I'm
don't
feeding
remember.
you the anime nerds.
My brain is toast.
My web.
Kathy's boyfriend Nick has a drinking problem, which we learn when they go to the weird rock bar that we discussed a little bit earlier. He's drinking right from the bottle though, and this whole sequence is played like an anti-drinking and driving PSA because he's like, let's drive home, and she's like, you've been drinking. He's like, fuck you, basically.
There's no cursing in this movie at all.
I feel
No, not at all.
like this was around the time of Cartoon All-Stars where you were like contractually obliged to somehow put an anti-drinking PSA in most of your stuff.
That movie made for TV movie, whatever you want to call it. I think that came out literally this year or the next year. So like that fully tracks. Interesting about Cartoon All-Stars. I do remember seeing it on TV, but I went to a birthday party, and you know how when we were kids, like at the end of a birthday party, you get a grab bag of like candy and like a toy or whatever.
I called it a loot bag.
Or a loot bag.
Loot bag.
These people were bougie, and they gave us all. They had like 30 copies of this movie and gave us all one. So I had this on VHS as a kid because of a weird bougie birthday party I went to.
I remember there was one that I went to that was like the loot bags were wild, where I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like we all got an action figure inside it, like I think it was a Batman action figure or something. And I was like, these people are giving out presents to the kids that are just coming to the birthday party as well.
Yeah.
Like, crazy.
It's like the big chocolate bar homes when you there's a thing on TikTok I saw that there's a place somewhere in the States that gives away, they're known for giving away 2-liter bottles of pop on Halloween. So there's always a crazy lineup at their house for trick-or-treaters because everybody wants that 2-liter. That's a little bit.
I really hope it's Fago and they answer the door in Juggalo paint.
God damn it. Yeah.
Spray the shit out of them.
So this weird flex. We're the one neighborhood house that gives away a full-size Crunch bar on Halloween, and everybody's like, we got to go back there. Doubles. I got a fake beard. I got a wig. Got my scream mask. Yeah.
I have a question for you guys that I didn't really wrap my head around because as soon as this movie gets a little bit complicated, I tune out completely because it's like, this isn't why I'm watching this. Can you guys break down what was happening with the dad? Because here the goons harass him. Something about $500,000 was stolen.
He's an ex-cop who
embezzled.
No, these guys embezzled, and he was the whistleblower because these guys were also ex-cops. He was the whistleblower, caught them, told on them, squealed. They went to prison. They're now out of prison, and they're going to go beat up the squealer, hopefully dangle him out the window, Suge Knight style.
Yeah. Okay. I thought there was something with tax evasion or something too. I just like missed a key thing. And I wrote, is ICE going to have a
key thing? It's like stupid bullshit. It's just there.
Just plot for the sake of plot. I wrote, is ICE going to have a dance off to bail them out?
That would have been better than what happened.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get.
I wrote, where are all these clothes coming from? Because he keeps having different clothes, but he doesn't have a backpack. His bike doesn't have any kind of like storage compartments. The only thing I can conclude is that those Pee Wee Herman's parents are just letting him rummage through whatever they have, and he's like, let me take a look in your wardrobe. And he goes in there and he finds some stripy shorts and puts them on.
Well, Vanilla Ice just raps here for a while.
Yeah.
Also, does a whole
she does
song.
her little dance.
Yeah.
Also, the weirdest thing is that he rips all of the electronics out of the wall and then immediately has electronics that he just like is in control of. Like, wait, hold on. Did you plug in a different thing or?
Yeah, because they bring in turntables, right?
Yeah, I think they're just there, but like it's like they got turntables, they don't even know how to use them because like they're just kind of in the corner, right?
While he's rapping, it zooms around the room and shows Kathy's friends, and by the end of this song, everybody in this room is horny. There's even like a guy who's like dancing over with the girl in their posse, and he's doing like a weird little white guy dance. They're all horny. They're all just horned up from Vanilla Ice laying it down for them. And this is it. This is when I noticed that Vanilla Ice is just rapping about rapping. That's all he raps about. Is just how he
On the
was-
people's choice.
Yeah. I'm the best rapper in town.
I mean, low bar, but okay.
Yeah, no, there's no.
I don't know. Whoever owns those turntables might have a few words about that.
This
Yeah.
entire interaction.
Watch, NWA had just played a show there and left the building.
Yeah. Which still makes his statement true. My only notes about this whole moment are,
I'll be right back.
Nick is drunk. And this is so odd. This is such a weird, odd thing. It is like a Footloose movie, or it's like it's like going to a town that's never, like the movie Chocolat or whatever, they outlawed chocolate.
Right.
It's like that, where it's like he goes in, and it's like these people have never even been able to conceptualize the idea of rhyme. It's like, no, we get it, Vanilla. I also wrote, this is where I realized he's a villain. He came in and like he's just actively trying to steal a guy's girlfriend right in front of him, and doesn't
After
give a
stealing
shit.
her organizer.
Yeah. And it would be different if it was like a diary or something where he like learned something about her from it, but he doesn't really. It's just like a planner. Like he doesn't learn anything about her.
He just breaks into her room and shoves ice down her throat.
Oh my god. We'll talk about that when we get there, but
The thing about the planner that was strange is all he deduced from it was where she was going to be like the next day, and
he could have figured that out.
The town is so small he could check 4 places and she'd find him, or he'd find her.
Also, like where I wrote, he is a villain. He's actually a villain. This is like creepy, weird behavior.
He's also staying across the street from them, so just like look out the blinds.
Just do actual stalking.
Yeah.
And then I also said, in what world does a stranger dry humping your girlfriend equate to the audience being on your side? Like, what the fuck is going on? I also wrote, she's not a very good girlfriend. I wrote this down before he became like truly a dick in the next sequence. Because, he grabs her and pulls her out. But like Vanilla Ice is like, he's literally humping her and like putting her on the ground and doing like crazy things where you're like, what the fuck is going on? If a stranger did this to my significant other, I would be genuinely pretty upset. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I wrote, Nick is also shit, because right after that, he doesn't handle it very well. He starts gaslighting and being like, I can forgive this, and it's forgiven. And I'm like, okay, so he's like the king of the castle or whatever. He's reasonably upset, but he's not very good at dealing with his emotions. Like, he doesn't know how to like talk about it like an adult. He's kind of like, how dare you?
No, because Vanilla Ice is a parody of 90s toxic masculinity, but Nick is a parody of 50s toxic masculinity.
Or just like general toxic masculinity.
That Nick character is never gone away either. That Nick character has existed anytime they need to have a shitty abusive boyfriend. It's that archetype is always the same guy. He always looks the same.
I think
he always has the same character traits.
Competent movies have figured out how to at least make it less of a caricature. But you're right. They still exist. But I mean, from beginning up until this moment, I was like, there's not really anything about Nick that is like overly terrible. Like, he just seems like a concerned, like he's like sad that he's like, I'm going to lose you. You're going to go away and we're never going to be together again. And I'm like, so far, like everybody's saying he's a dick, but he's not really doing any dickish shit until he gets like halfway through a Mickey of whiskey. And then he's like, an asshole. I'm like, okay.
So you have to wonder if this has already been a problem previous.
I think that the expectation of the audience is to be like, oh, this is probably not the first time this behavior has happened. But is this the first time that a rapper has floated in on a motorcycle into your town and tried to steal your girlfriend? I don't know.
And I know I'm reading way too much into this because it's cool as ice, but from the tone of when he's like kind of getting on her about her going to college, it's like you get the sense they've had this argument many times and he just does not want her to further her life.
Right. He's like, I'll provide for you. I assume he's probably got rich.
I'm getting dickish boyfriend from Devil Wears Prada vibes.
Right. I mean, I guess we can presume that he is a high schooler as well, or at least like maybe like 1 year done or something. But the fact that he has like nice clothes and a nice car would also be indicative of the fact that he's probably got super wealthy parents and is probably a dildo. He's a dildo for her, you know? He's just there. He doesn't have any real personality. We don't learn anything about him other than like he's a secret alcoholic or whatever.
Vanilla Ice was 24 in 1991.
Okay, but I assume the actor who's playing the character is probably also 24. Like I don't think his character was supposed to be 24. Is what I'm saying.
No. I know, I get that, but it just, I didn't realize he was that. I thought he would be like 19 or 20. I'm gonna see how old Kathy was. Kristin Minter was 26 in 1991.
Older. I mean, yeah, there were.
I said it. They're all 30.
Yeah, we're on their way.
They're all
there.
25.
I mean, before 2002, every high schooler was at least 26 years old.
Yeah. They're having to shave
That's a thing.
The boys like in between takes. Being like, oh god, why'd we hire a dark-haired actor? We need to keep shaving his face over and over again all day.
Yeah, if you look at 90210, they all had 5 o'clock shadows, and they were supposed to be 17. Not 902. Yeah, 90210.
Yeah.
I don't even have a regular 5 o'clock shadow now, and I'm well into my 30s. Jesus.
I can't grow a beard to save my life. It's really hard to grow a beard for me.
Oh, speak for yourself. I'm shaving every 5 seconds.
Your dark hair, they're like
I just put the camera on a loop. I'm currently like shaving off my nose right now as we speak.
You're a magician because whatever you're doing is it looks like you're talking. So this part kind of was weird. The goons are like slow. She's walking home through the street. She's got a new rap boyfriend who she can't lust after yet. Kevin's an asshole. He's like, get in the car, bitch, and he wants to take her home or whatever. So she decides to walk home because she probably lives 3 minutes away from where they were. But first there was that weird thing with like the street cleaner. I thought it was sweet that the street cleaner like turned off its water for her. I don't know why they put that in the movie. Probably to fill out the 90 minutes they had to fill out. But then the goons are like following her very slowly, and I don't really know what the point of that was. Maybe they were going to scare her, but the way that Vanilla Ice rolls up on his motorcycle is like, come on, get on. I was like, her life was not in danger, and he treated it like they were going to run her over.
He at least knew the car and stuff. I can forgive it, but I also understand what you're saying.
I just thought it was jarring. It was just really funny juxtaposition of them just slowly following her, and then he comes off from like the side of the screen at full speed,
which means that he was.
Spoiler alert: he didn't at all think she was in danger. He just thought that if he yelled loud enough, she'd get on.
She would actually get on.
He was just bullying her into getting on his motorcycle.
Or he's like, yo, what if I pretend like she's in danger? I could maybe get her on. If I just make her think that her life is in danger, then maybe.
Gaslit her into thinking she was in trouble. I'm in danger. So just
he did know the car from earlier, and maybe he's not as dumb as we all think.
Fair enough. Well, just as a recap of where we are in the movie. What?
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, guys.
I refuse.
He's as cool as ice. He's as cool as ice, guys.
I refuse your benefit. So just here's where we are in the movie. Johnny keeps pursuing Kathy, winning her over with his confidence and unpredictable charm. He takes her for an impromptu motorcycle ride through the countryside. Fun fact, the motorcycle scenes were inspired by Vanilla Ice's real love of motorbikes. He even did some of the stunts himself. So yeah, that tracks.
Motocross.
That tracks. That he.
I know about it because he talks about it at length in his book.
Now that you mention it, I do remember that he was a motocross
that
person.
book looks like it's 99 pages long.
Actually, no. It looks. Hold up the. Let's see how thick it is.
164 pages.
Whoa!
Wow, almost twice.
How many
that.
are pictures?
30.
This many.
Yeah. Literally, probably 25.
Literally, the first line of the last page is, I dream of winning an American Music Award. I got nominated but didn't win yet, and at least one Grammy in the rap categories.
Gee whiz.
Oh my God. More important than that stuff, though, I'd like to use my celebrity to do more charity work. I've done some. I did a free concert for abused children in San Diego. I've done appearances for homeless people. I'd like to campaign for peace. I even have a sticker out that says peace in the streets. If I can be a force for good in this country, that would be really slamming. So that explains what she's doing. He really likes philanthropy, and this woman is running a charity, essentially,
I thought it was going to be
for
like
disenfranchised youth men.
I thought he was going to say, and my true goal is to one day play the great Mark Twain in a cinema film. Which he did accomplish, guys. He got there.
I can't believe that he put in a book that he performed for homeless people.
Can't you? After watching Cool as Ice, can't you?
I just imagine him dancing around.
No. He didn't say he performed for homeless people. He said I made appearances for homeless people. Which, what does that mean? Like he just like showed up in a homeless shelter. It's like, yo, it's me, Vanilla Ice.
No,
sorry,
like,
you don't have food.
He just brought his turntables, knocked out the soup kitchen, and started sampling a Queen song.
He brought he brought like 200 bags of ice. And he's like, now you can have cold drinks.
Oh my
Meanwhile,
God.
the homeless people are like,
get out of here.
We're lining up to get our Thanksgiving dinner. Why are you interrupting us?
Stop.
I don't know who you are. I've been homeless for 30 years.
Yeah. Also, why do you keep putting ice in everything? I mean, according to this movie, he carries around at least one ice cube in his pockets at all time.
Well, yeah, to shove into unsuspecting sleeping girls' mouths after he sneaks into their window.
Like, that's villain shit. That's like, I'm gonna eat your face, or where your face is my face.
Even the way he talks when he shoves the ice in her mouth, he goes, "Shh, we don't want to wake up mom and dad." Like, that's scary. If you put like fucking Danny Elfman soundtrack over top of that, that would be chilling.
They almost did. This movie was supposed to be directed by Tim Burton. They only got 10% of the way there.
And he actually didn't finish the script, but this is what they had. I like the fact that this movie has 2 ticking timer kind of ultimatum things happening, because the goons are like, you got till tomorrow to give us our money, and also you better give me my black book back or else. He literally says at one point, like, what are you going to do if I don't give you back the black book? Which is like also a little bit chilling.
The movie doesn't know I mean, maybe this is how his regular interactions would go. Like, he would just be a weirdo and it would work, because he's kind of hot, so it's like maybe this is how his life actually is. You know, he can talk to people, and because he's genuinely pretty attractive, people are like, we'll put up with this weird behavior that you're constantly putting forth. And
I mean,
so he just thinks that's real. He thinks that's real life.
Yeah,
you know, if you're
looks
genuinely
like a mistake
attractive, you can just kind of do things, and people will be like, all right, I just kind of want to suck your dick at a construction site at some point. So, all right, we'll have a weird meeting. You can wake me up with ice, but make sure that, you know, it's not weird. And then he's like, oh, I accidentally made it too weird by dripping the water in first and then shoving it in with one finger. Don't worry, it's just ice. It'll melt before you choke. That was the alternative.
No, it's great, because when you're doing stuff at abandoned construction site with Vanilla Ice, you can just tell your parents that the reason you're going into the clinic is for your tetanus shot.
Yeah, I accidentally scraped my knees.
Not for I just slept with Vanilla Ice.
Yeah. Oh God.
But we get this,
like, why does he have a cute ice? I mean, other than the fact that he's Vanilla Ice, why does he wake her up with an ice cube? Is there any?
Did he carry it over from the house across the street?
Where did he get it? And like, how did he keep it frozen?
How long has it been in his hand, just melting?
By the time he got there, yeah, it was so tiny.
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
And she also, like, she eats it very, like, you know, it's very erotic. It's disturbing.
It's just salty from his hand.
Oh, he's like
flavor.
He's like, yo, do you know how hard it is to freeze salt water?
Every time you do the little Vanilla Ice dance, I'm reminded of the Koopas in New Super Mario Brothers, how in the background they go like this. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I like how David Spade's right there too. David Spade got to work with legend of film Rob Van Winkle.
We should play that scene from that movie if we can.
If you can somehow find it on YouTube or something, I'd like to see it. I'll just move the.
Found it.
Oh, immediately. Do you know how to do it?
How to share it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
If you just go to present and then pick the source, it's pretty easy. I just want to move ahead here a little bit. She has the conversation with Kathy's father. He basically explains the situation. Oh, did we get it?
I got it.
Nice.
I mean, well, do we know what's going on? Or I guess we can just play it. But it would be funny if she saw this.
Yeah, let's wait till B gets back. B just had to step away for a sec. Parents tell Kathy about the situation. This is when we get the scene where he goes over to find the jocks bashing the other motorcycles, and we get the goofiest fight scene I've ever seen, where he just keeps putting Kevin in an armbar, and then he just takes them all out with little to no issue. B, we pulled up the Vanilla Ice Mark Twain sequence.
Yeah, there's a reason I keep doing this dance move to like represent him, and it's because of this scene. I just want everybody to have context.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Hello.
Can you hear the sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
General Custer.
Yes, at your service.
Mr. Mark Twain.
Word up.
Gentlemen, do come in.
Yo, see, big boy, I was just going off to the general here about my new book. It's a sequel to Tom Sawyer. Oh, it's about Sawyer Home Slice, Huckleberry Finn. White boy goes rafting with a brother. People gonna lose their shit.
He just sounds like Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go now.
Okay, so there is definitely a
You sure
parallel
General
between
Custer can swing that? It's Custer, not Custer.
the way
There
that
is no
Vanilla
D.
Ice danced in Cool as Ice and the way that Vanilla Ice danced here to the way Justin Timberlake used to dance in NSYNC versus that viral video of Justin Timberlake dancing in his fucking dad jeans like a year ago.
Justin Timberlake accidentally became Vanilla Ice, and he's like, shit. What have I done?
It's like his worst. He wanted to be Michael Jackson so bad, and he just ends up as Vanilla Ice. That's tragic. Oh, here we go. This is the scene where she just wakes up in her bed. Also, was the drool necessary?
But that wasn't
If
drool.
someone is shoving an ice cube in your mouth, you're probably gonna drool as a result.
I thought
dripping water all over fucking.
I didn't catch that. I thought they just were like going for realism. You know, when you fall asleep and you drool on your pillow. I thought that was drool.
No, he's got
Jason
an
was,
ice
like,
cube
vacuuming during this movie. Like, oh shit, is she drooling?
No, I was watching this movie. That's how like my brain just like left my consciousness a few
I don't
times.
know how long he was carrying this ice cube, but it clearly was long enough that it started to melt.
Yeah, let's say like, you know, you've got an ice cube like this big. By the time he shoved it in her mouth, it was this big. So he probably was like, all right, you guys got any ice cubes? I'm gonna go wake her up with an ice cube in her mouth. And they're all like, oh,
who does
Johnny,
that as a move?
Yeah, maybe don't do that, Van Owen. And he runs over there.
I'm gonna sneak in through her window and lie in her bed.
He tried like so many other windows that the cube is slowly melting in his leather jacket pocket. And then he's like, finally gets there and he's like, all right, don't wake up.
She's like,
Mommy
I'd
and
see
Daddy.
this as a threat, but his pants tell me he's not a threat at all. So I'm gonna see where he's going with this.
Yeah. She manages to lift his ID off him where his name is revealed, and I actually thought she said Rob Van Winkle here, but she says his Johnny Van Owen.
Yeah.
She also knows about Monique somehow through all of this experience. She finds the little picture. The little picture.
She finds the
thing
number.
she wrote it on.
Yeah.
And then she's about to take her clothes off, just in front of him. It's like, I gotta change, and he's like, yeah. And then the kid, the kid busts in,
Do
the
it.
son Tommy, and she's like, and the son's like, or the kid's like, "Are you guys gonna
Cough
do
up
sex?"
at my
Yeah.
cough up by my little brother again.
Yeah, this always happens.
Sorry. As soon as you're done making sex, is what the kid says.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you ever been on a, what is he like on a, what does he call his motorcycles? Have you ever been on a bike or whatever? And he's like, no.
Something like that.
Can I though? And he's like, you will soon, real soon. And he's like, right after you guys are done fucking. And he's like, whoa,
Whoa,
jeez, kid, get out of here.
Yeah, so they do go on a ride. It's just very music video-y. They go to the construction site. I like their little conversation.
The fight is important because it is.
Well, I know I broke it down while you were getting the video.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they fight, and it's so stupid. My one note is, ha 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 ha. This fight scene is really bad.
Yeah,
it is. It's very bad.
We've talked about it a couple times also, where it's just he does a bunch of weird arm drag takeovers.
Yeah.
It is also funny that they're breaking the wrong bikes.
Yeah,
he very clearly has the most bright yellow motorcycle that has ever been made. And
yeah, he has the main character energy motorcycle, and then they go for his buddy's one.
And like, we see the bikes close up, and like his bike is the brightest. It's the easiest to spot. But then the other one is even better, like the green and zigzag.
The green one was cool.
Like that one is like the one that sticks in my mind the most. And I would say if those two were going down the street, the green one would stick out of my mind more. The other two just look black from a distance, but then when you get up close, they're also kind of cool. Like one of them has like pink lettering all over it, like a fucking a Dolce bag or whatever, or a Louis Vuitton bag, but it's a motorcycle.
I'm glad that you found something to like in this movie, Steven.
Oh man, I love motorcycles that look like Italian-made handbags.
Well, as soon as you said, you're a stickler for cinematography, and as soon as you said I like the cinematography in this, I was like, oh, you didn't fully hate this movie.
No, I had
there's some stuff to like in this thing.
I'm
it's
not
just
gonna shit on it for the sake of shitting on it, because we've already been doing that, and we're all kind of collectively doing it for the same reasons. I'm not like hating on stuff that you guys loved yet. Maybe we'll get
well, this scene is objectively dumb. It's a little bit endearing, but he's like, so what's it like having like parents and stuff? She's like, what?
Parents and a brother and that kind of thing. What's it like? And she's like, it's nice, I guess.
It's fine, I guess. It's the normal. So my headcanon now is that Johnny
he's an alien, because that's my head.
He's either a Martian or he just came out of a fucking Stargate portal or a Skynet portal and just exists. Has always been this age. He's a clone or something.
No, a sort of like a street rap troupe found him in a pod next to like the Florida Keys, and they opened it up and he was like like already in there dancing. You're like, oh fuck, we need to.
He's like a hotter ET.
Yeah, the hottest ET. Instead of being like, I'll be right here, he's like, I'll be right here. I assume it's like the implication is that he had like a shitty upbringing, but like,
yeah,
what we don't learn, we don't know. We have to just make up our own headcanon, which is like, whatever.
He's a streetwise ruffian
system or something. He was an orphan that was never adopted.
Okay.
Maybe he was a horribly ugly baby and nobody wanted to adopt him. So
they could have said that. They could have fixed that with one line and being like, what's it like having parents and stuff? I was an orphan. And then you don't even really have to go into it even further. Just say
they didn't say it. If they said I was an orphan, I would have flipped my desk over and been like, fuck this stupid movie.
That's probably what he said, and they cut it out.
They cut it because they're like, that's dumb.
You have to be too cool. You have to be cool as ice. You can't have a troubled past.
Yeah.
Makes you too
relatable. That's fair. Yeah. We get this has like a random music video vibe to it too. Not a whole lot here, but I did recognize that they are on an active construction site, just fucking around. So dangerous to just.
It's not active. There's no one around.
No, I know, but it's open construction. Like there's just like nails and wood and stuff everywhere, and he's just like doing little like hanging off the wood bars and stuff.
It's so dumb. This is like the dumbest, but it is also like a sort of like an outskirts of suburbia energy, which I am sort of familiar with. Like I had a lot of friends growing up. I lived in a very suburban city, but there was like my friends that lived in this place called Huttonville, like just beyond it. And in between were these sort of like small pockets of very wealthy people that lived in these extremely small neighborhood-ish towns they're technically part of the city you're in, but like not really. They have their own reality out there. And this is something that like they would do. They would see that there's like a housing complex being built, and on the weekends when no one's working there, you would go there and you would drink beers, or you would just hang out, and you would go upstairs in a house that's not built yet and be like, don't fall through the floor because the floors aren't there yet. So I get it, but at the same time, it's not a cool thing for a movie. It's so weird. It's so strange. Like there's so many other things they could have done that would have been better, but maybe this is just what they had at their disposal. Like they had this area. Let's film here. They're building.
It's also it's a know your audience thing too, because this movie is clearly very benign as far as like language and sex content. So this was probably rated PG for kids, like for early teens. It's a teen comedy,
But who is this movie for, really? Is it?
I think it's for like 9 to 13-year-olds in 1991.
Okay.
I would say
With
13 to
parental guidance.
17-year-old girls.
It's for
And
girls.
also
right? It feels
that,
like it's
yeah.
a girl movie. It doesn't really feel like a movie for boys, because like they would have had more punchy action sequences with him if it was for boys.
Yeah.
But like
It was definitely like Vanilla Ice looking like a heartthrob.
It's the
And
heartthrob
the whole
vibe,
romance thing.
A lot of scenes of him like leaning and smiling.
Yeah. Or leaning and brooding. There's a lot of brooding.
They do have a nice talk here about being true to yourself right before they kiss, which that's why
the line is, if you ain't true to yourself, you ain't true to nobody. That's a straight up fact.
Okay, maybe
I
it's less a
don't know why
conversation.
every time I speak in a Vanilla Ice voice, I have to keep throwing what are the worst gang signs in existence. I don't know why. It's just automatic. My hands just do this.
Well, whenever you speak in a Vanilla Ice voice, I get chills down my spine. I'm like, ooh.
The other thing that's great about this sequence is, which felt like a parody, is like she tries riding a motorcycle and then he tries riding a horse. It's so goofy. It's so funny to me. That felt straight out of like a Family Guy episode or something.
This is
bringing each other into each other's worlds.
Yeah,
I like that he rides the horse backwards.
You got it.
He's like, is this the way? And she's like, no. And he's like, oh, well, it is now.
I made it.
I'm such a fish out of water that I'm gonna ride it backwards.
Yeah.
Like you know how to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You know the headlights on your motorcycle? Think of those like the eyeballs of a horse. Like you just gotta make sure you're pushing the right direction.
Like being like frontwards.
Yeah.
Like the direction you're going, you figure like, okay, when I ride on things, I usually face the way that I'm going.
He's just kind of like, I like to break conventions. That's a straight up fact. I bet no one else has ever made this sort of connection before, which is like, what if you were to ride a horse backward? Would you go back in time? I don't know. Let's find out. Like, okay.
The narrator is like, they didn't go back in time.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
So basically, they goof around all day and go home, and then she gives him a promise ring.
The end of this montage, which is one of many montages. The one thing that I did appreciate about this montage more than the others is that it is broken up by them having a conversation. So you're at least learning a little bit about their mentalities during this, while also just having a bunch of like bullshit of them being romantic or whatever. But when he's teaching her how to ride a motorcycle, we can only assume this is the first time she's ever been on a motorcycle. She's never done this before. She's in a sundress and he's wearing no shirt. And I'm like, no way in fucking hell I'm getting on a motorcycle with somebody who's never ridden one before in no shirt. Because that's how you lose all your skin. Yeah. All your skin will be removed if one thing goes wrong, Vanilla.
That's how you get a degloved torso.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
under that skin, he's like the fucking Edgar from like Men in Black. Like under that skin, he's just an alien.
He's ice.
There's a man driving him.
He's got ice skin under there.
So once they go home,
Maybe this is Men in Black. Maybe he is an alien. Maybe he's a Men in Black.
This is in the Men in Black universe.
He's from the ice.
Literally alien.
Yeah, he's from the planet Ice.
Ice to meet you.
It's where Ice T and Ice Cube they also all come from the same planet.
Ice Cube, who in Rick and Morty is an ice cube.
I think you're thinking of Ice T, and he's an iced tea. Like he's literally a tea made of ice.
Right. Yes, I am thinking that's what it was.
Yeah.
The dad also is like, I forbid you from seeing him. I've met his two friends. He thinks those goons are his friends because he saw them talking to each other.
Yeah.
There's new people in town. They must be affiliated.
This for me, this was like the biggest plot hole for me because like he sees those guys talking to Vanilla Ice. He was the one that put those guys away.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm gonna call the police.
But he doesn't. Why doesn't he call the police? Just call the police on
witness protection. He can't like. I think this whole thing happens too because he's on television and they see him, right? So
yeah.
But like
he's not.
If he's in witness protection, all he needs to do. There's probably like a panic button you have around like a necklace or something that you're like, and like the FBI
bring you to a new place. Yeah. Also, the dad knows about Kevin going to the hospital and forbids her from seeing him ever again. Back at the
I like how you keep calling him Kevin.
Did I do it again? That's how it's written in my notes. I'm like Ron Burgundy.
His name's Nick.
Nick the Dick.
Nick the Dick.
Yeah, all you have to think is Dick.
Okay, I'll just think about Dick a bunch. Back at the house where all the crew are staying, we just get a great sequence of the old lady showing off her dance moves.
Yeah. And then she says something about homies, I think, or home slice or something. And she's like, did I do good? And they're all like, yeah, you did. I like that they're, this like weird old Pee Wee Herman couple is just like delighted with these people staying with them for a week, and for no reason other than that they like, there's a misunderstanding. I mean, this whole movie is just misunderstandings that have gone awry, but yeah, I like that they have just as much sort of agency in the movie as Vanilla Ice's crew. And the part of me wishes there was like a weird sort of like Nickelodeon-esque ending where like they're having to like do like a weird crazy Nerf fight, like the end of Hook or something like that, like where they're fighting all the preppy weirdos in town.
The end of Toys, where it's just a bunch of toys running into each other.
Yeah, something like that
are also bombs. Basically, before when I said that he spills the beans on the situation, he actually is finally telling Kathy what's happening now. They're in witness protection over what you guys were discussing earlier about the crime that he witnessed or blew the whistle on, and these goons tracked him down. So then the next morning she walks outside and that's when we get the line, I was just chilling in the hood and I thought you might like to go for a ride. And then she tries to break things off with him. And then
but this scene feels like, like in a movie when like a child takes like a dog to the woods and is like, get out of here, I don't love you anymore, and they're like throwing rocks at the dog to get the dog to run away.
It's very old Yeller coded.
Yeah,
or like Fox and the Hound coded.
Yeah, that's what this feels like to me. Is like he's like walking backwards on his motorcycle, which again, kind of a very nice and interesting shot where she's walking down the street and he's maneuvering his bike backwards. I'm like, what a good shot for like another movie where they're having an actual real conversation that has any kind of impact or importance in terms of like you're putting this on camera and it matters. But no, it's Vanilla Ice being like, what do you mean we can't go on another date? And I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, very like take the dog to the woods and you're free now. You're free. Go run in the mountains and don't ever come back here. Like that's what it feels like.
He also hits her with the old, you think you know me? Like, no, you don't.
I didn't even know your name until I accidentally.
You don't know nothing. Yeah.
You don't know me at all. Motorcycle sounds.
And that's a
another
straight up fact.
And that's a straight up fact. Another segment of music and him just driving around looking solemn. And the girls try to convince Kathy to get back with Nick. I wrote, these people are wackio. That's me. That's not Vanilla. Yeah, it's Fresh Man. He has a tete-a-tete with the kid. The kid catches up with them, who ditches Little League recklessly.
This kid's got some real, ice by ice energy. This kid's gonna be writing a manuscript,
a tell-all. But basically, he's like, everybody in my family keeps talking about you, and they're not saying great stuff. Can I go on your motorcycle now? So they go for a ride, and basically he talks to the kid.
This kid is just asking to have his face on the side of a milk carton.
Right?
He also, the one thing about this movie that I was happy here was, like, at least they gave the kid a helmet. They're like, this kid has to have a helmet.
Oh, but also the kid reveals
by law, like
the kid reveals that he has like a new hairstyle, and it's just like kind of the broccoli hairstyle that kids have now. And I'm realizing that Vanilla Ice would have that broccoli hairstyle.
Oh, Vanilla Ice would absolutely have broccoli hair.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about this on the show before, but like
he would get the perm.
Yeah. So like there's like a hairdresser on TikTok, and she was like, I just want to reveal to the world that all of these teenage boys are
getting perms.
Their moms are bringing them into our salons to give them perms because they want to look like this, and they show like the hair. And I'm like, that is wild. Because I remember, when I was a kid, like kids frosted tips and shit like that. Like I never had them, but like I understood it.
My grade was the frosted tips and like the fucking ski jump at the front.
Yeah.
We called
it.
Now
kids are going in for like a 1980s style.
My
like
mom
a haircut
used to get
that was
perms in 1991.
But like, no, they're doing hairstyles that have almost universally been dedicated to like the Golden Girls. Like they're getting haircuts that are for elderly women, teenage boys. That's how much of a shift things like are constantly going through. It's like this hairstyle almost always you turn 60, and as an older woman you cut your hair short and you curl it because it's just easier to maintain. And now it's teenage boys that are doing that.
Thank you for that, Steven. From now on, when there's a group of fucking broccoli heads at the gym crowding out all the equipment and not letting me use it, I'm just going to go up to them and be like, so are you more of a Sophia or a Rose? You don't give me Dorothy energy.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough Riz to be Blanche.
Yeah, no way. You're not. None of you guys are Blanches around here. If anybody calls you Blanche, they're comparing you to when you cook a potato and then put in
which is kind of what you resemble, you potato.
Yeah. Blanche is also bringing it back to this. A word for ice.
It's true.
Or white.
Or white, yeah.
Not ice, white. Brain,
white.
Not braining. Sorry.
Vanilla.
We've been talking about this movie so much that my brain is about as many brain cells as this gorgeous young man's.
It's coming on this show is a blessing and a curse, I would say.
A blurse.
A blurse. It was the blurst of times. That's the new name of the show. More shots of random dancing. A guy breaks a house of cards artistically. I think this scene was supposed to be a metaphor for, the part in the hero's journey where like everything's falling apart, because their dance moves are a little bit more bombastic and intense.
I feel like you are giving the writers of this film far too much credit.
Every time that I say something like that, I am absolutely it's headcanon giving more credit.
Wrong, though. Like that is what they're literally doing that. They're trying to make it seem more important, but it's actually just, this is stuff they've done in other movies to represent turmoil and chaos, and like this is what we have to do. And they do it in this movie, and you're like, who suggested this? It definitely wasn't Mr. Ice. Mr. Ice did not do this.
It really reads as like the film version of that kind of whiny pseudo goth boy in your grade 10 modern lit class, writing you what he thinks is this really, really deep and distraught poem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just terrible, but you don't want him to go home and self-harm, so you tell him he did a good job.
Yeah, pull it up.
It's called the Dreamboat. and I wrote it when I was in grade 10, and no, I don't have it ready, but yeah, it's about like a spaceship called the Dreamboat, and it's all about.
You've literally told me this exact story before, Steve. So as B started describing you in grade 10, I'm like, oh.
I was definitely that emo kid that would be like, "This is way too important for you to understand, but I'm going to read it to you anyway."
I
Once
really
upon-
I'm
want
not
you
even
to
gonna read
find
it to
that
you.
and read it in
Probably
a
wouldn't
Vanilla
get it.
Ice voice.
Yo, so the Dreamboat was a ship, a spaceship on the River of Dreams.
They're putting the motorcycle back together. That's when I fucking an hour and 10 minutes into this movie, I realized they only stopped in this town because of the motorcycle. That's how, like, it's not. I thought when they first get to the town that they were going to this town to play their next show, but they're just passing through, and that's the whole cowboy
Jason,
element,
You've
right?
said this twice
Yeah.
now, and I'm like, that's literally what it is. So why do you like? It didn't take that long for me to understand this. Why did it take you?
I
The whole
didn't get
fucking
it.
Movie.
I didn't get it at the beginning.
Their
I
bike
was
breaks down in the
confused.
first 5 minutes. That's why they're there. They're stuck.
This movie made me confused. It made me have confusion, and it's
That
this
was the
dumb
other
movie.
alternate title of the movie. Was Confused as
It
Ice.
gave me confused as ice. I don't know what it is. If it's like a movie like we did Leaving Las Vegas last month, and that movie I hung on every word. I got it. I got all of it. It all made sense. It's a pretty deep movie. There's a lot of like subtext and stuff. And
Yeah.
when they're just telling you everything with no subversion or subtext like this movie does, I'm trying to read into it way harder, so it confuses me.
But it's also
Oh
one of the
yeah,
ones
don't do
where-
that.
because it
That'll
does
hurt
that,
your brain.
I was
give
giving
you-
it the benefit of the doubt.
but you also give yourself the leeway to sort of like stop paying attention for a second, which is
Yeah.
So like when you stop, you're like, what? Wait, did somebody say something that it's explained a thing? Because I feel like because they have to tell you everything, it's the only way that anything makes sense, and that's why they tell you everything through dialogue. There's no implication, there's no metaphor, there's no subterfuge. You're just kind of like watching it for what it is, and the characters have to tell you what's going on. So if you miss one sliver of dialogue, you'll be confused for a little while until you're like,
Mhm.
whatever, it doesn't matter.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Rob Van Winkle drops the kid off.
Rob Van Winkle.
The kid's like, "That was the coolest. Want to see my room?" And he's like,
Not really.
"No, I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think any of this has been appropriate up until now. But I'm definitely not going to go into your bedroom after taking
Yeah.
a illegal motorcycle ride."
And that's where he differentiates from a 2001 Warped Tour band to a 1996 Warped Tour band.
Yeah. They're like, absolutely.
Like, sort of brand new, definitely not Lost Prophets. So, like, lesser of two evils.
Yeah. Yeah.
For those
What was
people
the-
who understand that was really dark.
Is that a reference to Derek? From Derek Whitby? Whitby?
No.
From
No, that would have been a good reference.
he put. Did you hear about this? He put his
Oh, yeah.
memoir.
Greg Norrie
Or
from
some
Trouble
41.
Charger was.
Yeah, and that's all that stuff happened in Warped Tour. That's why I thought you brought it up. But I think it was systemic that a lot of those bands had proclivities outside of the legal realm, and it's all going to come out now, like another kind of like
I
Me
mean,
Too.
it's been coming out for years. I went to Warped Tour for the first time at 16, and I was too old for most of the bands there.
That's fucked.
I wonder if they're going to come up with like a fun nickname. You know, they always do. Like, Did He Do It? Like the Diddy documentary. Did He Do It?
Warpists.
It's going to be called Warped.
I know
There we
why I
go.
laughed. I laughed uncomfortably there.
All right,
Now
we should
Johnny,
probably go back to the movie.
I'm moving forward. Now Johnny's breaking into Kathy's house again. Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Jesus Christ.
He leaves the promise ring in the fishbowl. Just gotta say, the pH balance of that fishbowl is messed up from that ring. They're all dead. All those fish are
Well, I
toast.
feel like her pH balance is also messed up after fooling around with Vanilla Ice. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
She
She's
needs
got
to
a
go to the
herpes
clinic.
balance now, if you know what I'm talking about.
The goons come into the house. They kidnap Tommy. I think this is the kid's name. Kathy comes home to find the ring. She knows what's going on. Vanilla Ice is so sad, but he can't act sad because he's got to be the macho man. So he just acts mean. He's just like kicking kicking the wall and being like, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what's wrong, man? You're hung up real bad on her. And he's like, blah, 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 which I thought was really funny because he's acting. Like he's actually has to like portray an emotion with his face, but his face is like
mug, sort of like, I'm Vanilla Ice. This is how I am.
He just looks like this the whole time.
He does.
He looks like this the whole time. Jump scare. Vanilla Ice jump scare. Oh, good gracious.
That is the face of somebody who was given his own movie.
Yeah,
and cartoon.
A lot of
Okay. Actually, that helps because now I know what sign he does.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
I can't do that.
He spreads those so well.
Okay, there we go. I have to do it with my left hand.
Bring it back up. All right, I think I got it. It's like this.
I think
right?
he's got Ehlers-Danlos or something.
This
what is
actually
going on with
hurts.
that tongue?
It hurts the muscles in here. Like it's
I can't
making me
do
feel
it.
like I'm about to burst.
I can't do it with my right hand at all. I can't like do it with my left.
You know when like the Vulcans like do this and people are like, "Can you do it with both hands?" And you're like, well, "I can do it." That is like no one can or should be able to do it. Jeez.
What's the thing called? Ehlers-Danlos?
Ehlers-Danlos hypermobility.
Ehlers-Danlos.
I mean,
You
I can do
got
it with
it.
both hands, but I've also had a lot of ex-girlfriends, so I've had a lot of practice with different finger movements.
I understand what you mean by that. I've seen movies on the internet. Boner alert. I lost my goddamn pen and I haven't moved. But that doesn't matter. I'll just move us forward.
Yo, where's my pen at? That's the sequel.
Yeah, where's my pen at? Starring Vanilla Ice, and he just tries to find his pen for the movie's actually 2 hours and a half long. Vanilla Ice is so sad, but he can't. He's just mean. Everyone is putting. Nope. Oh, I just wrote. We need to get to the ending now. So Vanilla Ice goes to talk to Kat. The dad's like, she's not here. And he's like, she's standing right behind you, which I thought was really funny.
What are you talking about?
And then we get the scene with the tape, the pre-record of the kid being like, very creepily, being like, if you want to find me, I'm out there. So come find me and I'll be here.
Yeah, but then Vanilla Ice turns into fucking Sherlock Holmes at this point, where he's like, "Yo,
Sherlock
you hear that
Holmes
noise inside the tape recorder. Everybody, calm down and for
Sherlock Homeboy.
Sherlock Homeboy. Yeah.
Sherlock Homeboy. I like that. When he was listening to it at first, he's like, "Man, I thought he was going to be like, man, I could rip off this beat so good."
Yeah. Can I sample this?
Yeah.
Can I put this at the beginning of one of my songs?
Yeah, he puts a hostage recording at the beginning of one of his records, and people love it. He finally got his Grammy.
He gets his Grammy.
Yeah.
His People's Choice Award.
People's Choice.
I'm still right. I'm still writing Kevin in my notes at this point. BTW. I wanted you to know that.
In your defense, you thought his name was Kevin, so obviously
I
you're
did.
right it through the whole thing.
He does give big Kevin vibes.
He does. He seems like a Kevin. He's like
got a Kevin body.
Karen. Yeah. When Nick shows up, he's got that thing on his nose. The dad's like, Vanilla Ice had something to do with this. And then I think Nick straight up, I don't know if we see them on the motorcycle or what, but he basically describes what happened with the kid and Vanilla Ice earlier because they went on a motorcycle ride together. I don't know. Was he in the background of a scene and he saw them? Because I didn't pick up on that. But if he didn't, and he didn't know they had done that, he just straight up lies because he's like, I think it's a nefarious plot. So I wanted to ask you guys, was there a point where you see Nick in the background of a scene when they're on their motorcycle ride? Because that's what he describes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
Okay.
actually a very good scene where
The kid
boy-
yells something at him.
no, he gives him the fucking
Yeah.
finger.
Oh, that's right.
They're
Oh,
on a
okay.
motorcycle and he sees Nick and he just gives him this fucking bird. And we're all sitting there being like, no fucking way. And this kid puts his finger up and we're like, oh, and then Nick's- couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
So Kathy runs to the crew. You need a psychiatrist. I thought it was a funny line. She shows the tape. And I wrote, we better not have to listen to this whole tape again to fill out time. And we don't. We have to listen to some of it while we just get the reactions from the different people of the crew sitting around. Not the whole thing, but you get enough of a reaction that you sort of see what's happening here. And then we get, I think, this might be the smartest thing in the whole movie, and that's not saying a lot. But Sherlock Homeboy hears the clanging of the pile driver, which we see earlier when they're at the construction site, and he's like, "I know where that is."
Jason, can you please write, if you have a notepad near you, please write down Sherlock Homeboy, because I think we should make that into a t-shirt character.
And it's just a picture of Vanilla Ice with the Sherlock Holmes hat.
But he's wearing it completely
Specifically
sideways.
the picture that you keep posting, but like
Right.
a Sherlock Holmes hat Photoshop.
This one.
Yes. Photoshop a Sherlock Holmes hat on that.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's so good. Yep, that's gonna be our big Christmas.
So he'll be doing
big
that, but then
Christmas
he'll
chart.
also have like one of those big pipes, like sucking on it.
Well, he probably remembers the clanging because that's how he stuck to the rhythm while he was,
Banging.
making his little finger sign at her.
Boner alert. Anyway, I thought in a movie that I was like, this movie's over soon. What could they possibly do to make it entertaining? I thought that it's like the thing where a guy's in a trunk and they have a great ability to like remember where bridges and stuff are. So they redo it and they're like, oh, well, we must have driven over this bridge and went here and went there because they were stuck in a trunk and they heard all the sounds of the city. This is much stupider than that, but this was at least an interesting little thing because now Sherlock Homeboy, now Vanilla Ice has worn many hats in this film. He's been an action star, he's been a rapper, he's been a romantic comedy ladies man. Now he's a
condom
detective.
with that reservoir tip he had going on.
He wears a weird hat at the
Condom.
end. He wears a
Hats.
weird hat at the beginning and at the end. Yeah, he's got a lot of weird hats in this movie.
And then when they pull up to the place, they can't find the goons at first, but then they do. But this is when I also noticed that these goons have no script here. They're just saying stuff. They keep calling them Martians. They're like, oh, the Martians have landed. Cute little bike and a zigzag haircut is an actual line that one of them says, which I was like, there's no way anybody wrote that down on paper. Be like, this is your line. That person thought of that thing and said it. Fully improv.
I think that the two goon guys are like, they made an active decision. Like, if we're going to be these two guys who are traveling the country together and have been partners in crime forever, why not just like have the implication that we're also partners in life? Like, we're life partners and we're married, and like maybe we're just shitty gay crime guys. Like, is that? And you know what? I kind of like it. I like the fact that they kind of committed to it. They constantly are judging people on their physical appearance all the time, which is a thing that if you've ever been in a gay relationship happens all the fucking time, especially if you're in like a bi relationship where everybody is just constantly looking at everybody and being like, hot, not hot. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I think he's cute. I think he's pretty cute.
Can confirm.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's a real thing, Jason.
I mean, I've only been in one gay relationship, but
Chucky? Oh my god.
yeah, with Chucky. But I know what you mean. Because of I view the world differently than a lot of straight presenting people. Is all I'll say.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
You talk about breasts a lot, you sick fuck.
I like. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm just kidding.
The Psycho Squad blasts through the wall. They save the kid, and this is the most anticlimactic climax of a movie I think I've ever seen. Because you would expect there to be sort of like a fight scene in a battle, but they just blast through. They beat the guys up in 2 seconds and then take the kid.
I do like that. that they do put together their sort of Lost Boys team at the end to do it, but I would have loved it to be far more over the top. And like when I look at the budget for this movie, I'm like, why didn't they have like a crazy like Kevin McAllister level, like put these guys on slicks and stuff and like have them slipping around? And
Because they spent the budget on getting Naomi Campbell.
that's
Yeah.
true. You're right.
Did you
For
take a
2
look at the run?
seconds.
Did you take a look at the runtime too at this point? Because I did, and there were like, I think there were 13 minutes left in the movie, and I was like, are they just gonna have Kathy and Vanilla Ice kissed for 10 minutes?
I was like, there's going to be a music video at the end. I had the exact same thought, but I was like, I know it's coming. I know it's going to be him being like, yo, let me stick my face in my buddy's booty. Yo.
Wait, before he did that, they had the actual climax of the film where he jumps the dick boyfriend's car.
Jumps the Dick
Yeah.
is also the name of my autobiography, being released in February. Yeah, I knew they were gonna do it, but I was like, do I like this? Yes. But did they do it as well as they could have? No. What should have happened is he should have been like, my car, like the windshield should have been split in half, and like there should have been tire marks going all the way up the back, like cartoonishly aggressive, you know, instead of making it like this is a cartoon. Because there's a lot of cartoonish stuff in this movie, and that was one of the things that actually felt disappointing. You know, when you kind of have an expectation set up. Because they didn't destroy anything in this movie. The one thing their only scene of destruction is when he's beating up the bike with a baseball bat, but it's like clearly sort of like a kit bike from a certain angle. So they're like, just go to town on this thing because it's actually just a hunk of plastic. No one gives a shit if you break it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to round out the movie, they get back together. Van, as I also referred to him as my notes, Van and Kathy. Nick tries to threaten her with a bad time, as I also said. You'll never see me or my car again. Oh, there's a music video at the end. Surprise.
And I think he goes, imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does.
And that's the movie. That's the end of the movie.
I think maybe his most effective line for me, because I was like, what's he gonna say? Because I didn't know. Because he has so many random lines that don't actually make sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Neither do any of the words on his jacket.
It's true, yeah. So maybe that's how he picks his comebacks. He like looks at his jacket and he's like, I haven't said this one yet this week.
The man really needs to start wearing motorcycle helmets because he's clearly the victim of a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
But I mean, according to the opening sequence of this movie, he's also delivered a few, because like he'll just scare people off horses whenever he sees a hot woman on a horse. He's like, time to scare this fucker off this fucking horse. What a movie.
Well, that was the movie. We're gonna have plenty of time to discuss our Home Alone of it all and our final thoughts now. Let me just check the old list of things in the movie. In the thing, it's the next thing. I think that the next thing is. It is. It's time for the Home Alone of it all.
The what?
The Home Alone of it all.
If you had to pick one, what do you think the Home Alone of it all?
The Home Alone of it all?
Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone?
I really gotta know.
When is the Home Alone of it all?
What is the Home Alone of it all?
Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
If you don't recall, the Home Alone of it all is the idea that in every film, there's sort of that moment from Home Alone where Kevin McAllister slaps down the blueprint and sets up the traps to take down Harry and Marv. I've posited sort of that every movie sort of has that moment. You've been on the show before, so I believe you're familiar with the concept. It's sort of like the part of the movie you came here to see. So the guest always goes first on Hey, did you see this one? So B, why don't you hit us with your Home Alone of it all?
So I think the actual like Home Alone of it all moment, just holistically, is when he hears that thumping on the tape and is like, I recognize that right away. But what I come to the movie to see is just the one-liners. So for me, it's the drop that zero and get with the hero, or when he breaks into her room and like shoves ice down her throat.
Yeah.
As a romantic gesture.
Yeah, I mean, it's so romantic. That's how I would love to be woken up every day of my life when I find my life partner. That's going to be in the clause in our, when you like give custom vows to each other. It's like, I vow to every day wake you up with a tiny little chunk of ice shoved directly into your mouth.
Well, you know what? Commit tax evasion with somebody, and I'm sure you'll find the one.
That's true. Yeah. I never thought about that.
Just got to commit tax evasion. It's fine. Thank you, B. How about you, Stefan?
I think that mine is because I didn't really know what this was going to be at all. And even after the fact, I was like, I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but I didn't think it was going to be this. And then learning that he's like, yo, I'm making my own James Dean Rebel Without a Cause. And I'm like, that's not what you made, though. You didn't make that. Like all these facts kind of compiling it. I think that mine is genuinely when they pull up to the weird house and then the guy's like, you're there, you're here. Oh, I can't give you even 500 for that. Like when it got so weird that I was like, I don't even know what I'm watching. And it just kind of kept that energy for most of it. Like I didn't know what I was watching, and I never really truly felt like I was in one specific type of movie. It's like they took a bunch of movies and put them into a fruit blender or whatever and like squeezed out a juice that is the equivalent of that fucking sandwich that we see that guy make where you're like, what is this?
Yeah, it's like cinematic swamp water. You're right.
And that's not necessarily a diss to this movie. A lot of disses get dropped in this movie, but in this movie, I wouldn't say that.
Word.
And yeah, I think that's my fact. That's a straight up fact.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. I now it's the one-liners. I definitely agree with that, B. And I think I said the same thing as Steve in my notes. Just basically when they get to town and everything starts happening, because normally you would think that final sequence where they figure out where they are and they go find the kid, that would be much longer. But in this 90-minute movie where they just so many scenes just go on forever for no reason, or there's just montages of dancing and whatever weird artistic nonsense. It should be that final push to go rescue the kid, but that all of that happens in like 6 minutes. All of it, the whole.
And it's also kind of like the most boring part of the movie, where you're like,
yeah,
okay, good.
They should have made it more artistic. They should have just made like the crew,
you know what,
makes a sandwich and knocks over
I
a host
feel
of cards.
This movie was a metaphor for what it's like to have sex with Vanilla Ice. A lot of build up and no payoff.
Yeah. And it starts with somebody
a lot of weird dancing in your underwear.
It starts with somebody shoving an ice cube in your mouth when you're asleep.
Oh my god. Well, okay, thank y'all. Let's do the MPAAA rating game then, in that case.
It's time to play Guess the MPAA.
Hello and welcome to the greatest game show in the history of podcast media. My name is Rip Van Winkle. I'm joined here today by Steven Ice Baby. Steven's going to explain the rules. He'll tell you all about it.
Hello, this is Steven Ice Baby, and I'm here to tell you how the game works. The MPAA game is, of course, based on the fact that every single movie ever made that is a real movie is given an MPAA rating. Jason is going to give us the first 2 digits of a 5-digit number, but we need to guess the last 3 digits. So that's a number between 000 and 999. We don't need to even say the first 2 numbers. We just need to say the last 3 numbers. And that's all we need to think about and focus on. And that's all we ever need to think about or focus on is the last 3 digits of it. 000 to 999. And if we don't, then may us all be choked by ice cubes in our dreams.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steven. B, do you understand?
I do, yeah.
Okay. You've played this before, I believe, as well.
Yes.
The first 2 numbers that do not matter this week are 3, 1. So, B, give us your first guess.
056.
056. It is higher than that. Steve.
6. $206.
B, it is lower than that.
295.
Steve, it is higher than that.
400.
Wow. B, it is higher than that. For your final guess.
500.
Ooh. And incorrect, Steve. For your final guess, it is lower than that.
411.
That's incorrect. However, I will give you both an opportunity for one more guess. Okay, I'm going to now. I've got the amount this movie made at the box office, and I will actually give you a hint this week because it's hilarious. But the box office is lower than $1 million, and if you can guess it without going over, you'll get an additional guess at the number. So, B, would you like to take your first guess at what the box office gross for this film was?
$100,000.
Oh,
That's so low. That's great.
it's comically low. Actually, I just want to quickly double check because this seems almost too low. I'm just gonna quickly
Even
go
if
back over.
1,000 people saw this movie on opening weekend, that would be not enough to be that.
Right?
More people must have seen that, right?
So you said 100,000. Let me just double check my number here because I'm pretty sure I had it. Oh, it's slightly higher than I thought. Okay, so B, you're locked in at 100,000. How about you, Steve?
You said it's lower than $1 million, but it's. Oh, you didn't say, or you said it's higher than
Actually, you know what? I fucked that up because I thought it was one digit. It's lower than 1.5 million.
All right, B,
Okay.
you can guess.
Can
again.
I guess again then?
Yeah,
You can definitely guess again. Yes.
1.2 million.
Okay. So Steve, B went over.
$1.
Okay. Sorry, this feature of the game is relative. Actually, no, you know what? Did you say 1.2 million?
Yeah.
B got it directly on. So you both get a
Wait a
guess.
minute, you said lower. Okay, well,
I know I did, but I fucking got confused. I'm gonna.
Oh wait, no, you get to guess again.
I'm gonna give you both an additional guess. So the last number that was guessed was 411, and it is lower than that.
It's time to play Guess the MPAA.
395.
Okay, that is incorrect. Steve, since you guessed $1, I'll allow you to also have one more guess. And it's higher. It's, what did you say, B? Sorry?
395.
It's higher than that.
I said 510. I said 410 last time.
No, you said 411. I said lower. 395, it's higher.
Oh. 399.
No, unfortunately, even though I'm sorry about my mess ups there. I took notes. I should have.
Just tell us the number.
Yeah, thank you. So the movie cost 1.2 million and the movie cost 6 million and it made 1.2 million. The reason I got confused is because somewhere else it told me that the box office was 640,000, and I also saw first night box office as low as like a few $1,000s. So,
and it was all Vanilla Ice, like packing theaters full of his
buying
friends.
a whole theater for his friends.
None of them are
Sorry about
His goat
that.
and his wallaby.
That's the MPAA rating game for this week, and I'll do better next time. Nope. Sorry.
The MPAA, everyone. The MPAA. Wow.
Wow. Thanks for playing. My name is Rip Van Winkle. So we're on to the end sort of times here, both in reality, and who knows if the world will still be around when this episode actually goes to air. But all we have left is our final thoughts.
It's time for our final thoughts.
And just like every other segment on the show, the guest always goes first here on Hey Did You See This One? So, B, why don't you give us your final thoughts for this film? And if you have some sort of a rating that you'd like to give it, whether it be out of like a 5 or out of like a 10, or if you want to give it some complete nonsense rating, the floor is yours to tell us your final thoughts.
I mean, you guys were forced to watch this movie because of me. So it's probably not shocking that I love it. Like, I love it with a fierceness that most people probably shouldn't. If anybody out there wants to date me, watching this film with me is a prerequisite. So if you don't think you're going to like it, don't watch it beforehand because you don't want to watch it twice. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do. I give it a solid 9 out of 10 disgusting sandwiches up.
That's perfect.
I was also going to use this disgusting sandwich, but I might change my analogy then. Oh wait, sorry. I have to. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want.
Jason, I know what to do.
Give me what I want.
So we used to use the Undertaker bong there, but since the Undertaker is mega, we changed it to Batista, who is very much the antithesis.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
He just wants freedom.
Yeah. How about you, Steve? What are your final thoughts for the film Cool as Ice from 1991 starring Rob Van Winkle?
Well, I mean, apart from the fact that like I had no idea what this was going to be, and I didn't really have any expectations, you know, like I was like, it's a Vanilla Ice movie. It's the only one I think that is in existence where he is the main character of a movie. I don't think he's ever done it again since.
They haven't let him.
Yeah, they're like, no, you're not allowed. they wrote it into the clause of Hollywood. They're like,
he could have won an Academy Award.
Hollywood that Vanilla Ice is no longer allowed to be a main character in anything ever. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was bad. Like it was still bad. Like, of course, you know, like it was as bad as maybe it was as bad as I thought it was going to be, but like score down a couple based on like my expectations of bad. But there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I really liked and shouldn't really be in this movie based on what it is and what its bones are, you know, like what the structure of the movie is meant to be versus what it actually is so strange. And I would recommend it to people, you know, like one, if you want to date Bee Dawley, you got to watch it. That's a recommendation enough, but I would recommend it just to be like, what is this? Like, what the fuck is
this?
It's like a weird puzzle. It's a weird puzzle where the solution to the puzzle is actually extremely simple, but you overthink the solution where you're like, you're trying to figure it out, but you don't need to. You already figured it out within minutes of starting the movie. You know what it is. When he's trying to impress somebody so hard that he scares them off a horse, you're like, yeah, that's what the whole movie is. The whole movie is getting scared off a horse, basically. Yeah, you know, there's lots of stuff in this movie that I didn't like, but there's lots of stuff in it that I liked, so like I didn't have a bad time. But I do think that it is something that would benefit from a
writer and editor.
A riff job is what we were calling it. Or we call it that, a riff job, where you sit there and you riff on it together. I think that's almost like what the heart of the movie is like watching this with people and being able to like goof on it while also appreciating the little bits of value that are there. You know, there's lots of stuff in this movie that doesn't need to be in this movie, that isn't interesting or good or in any way meant to be in this movie, but it's there just to create a plot, a structure of a plot, a skeleton that
I feel like that's Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Concepts of a plot.
We all know that Vanilla Ice has bones made of ice, and if he's left in the sun too long, his bones melt. And I feel like that's maybe what this movie is. But if I had to give it a rating, it would be it would be how the fuck did he fit all of his clothes into that tiny bike? Like, is there a secret compartment? Is he actually an alien? And like in Dragon Ball Z, where they have like little pills where like the vehicles pop out of them? Like, does he have like a thing where he pulls an ice cube out and he drips it into a little pill and it like turns into a full wardrobe? Where he's like, all right, I'm
all
going to the
designer
club now."
clothes too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my rating.
Great.
Pill clothing.
Like,
yeah.
Pill clothing. I liked it.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slog. I'll be honest, but I will say there's a certain charm to this time capsule of a film. The weird catchphrases, the wardrobe, the neon and pastels, and the music, which it was my main draw for this film. I grew up with a lot of the dance music in this movie, like ow, I love that song so much, and the fact that was in this movie definitely put this up a letter grade for me. Unfortunately, Vanilla Ice is a bad actor, and even the real actors around him couldn't prop him up. And the storyline, like the plot, is like comically basic, but I think that's what you have to do when the person who made the movie, who's building this movie, Vanilla Ice, thought that he was going to be the next James Dean and thought that he was remaking Rebel Without a Cause. And if either of you have never seen Rebel Without a Cause, it's one of those few movies from the 1950s that feels ahead of its time. It almost feels like a modern movie. It's very good.
It's very good, and a lot of bad filmmakers try to remake it and make amazing results, like Cool as Ice.
Yeah.
The Room, Tommy Wiseau was very inspired by James Dean.
That's so crazy to me.
Tearing me apart, Vanilla Ice.
You're tearing me apart. What I will say is this movie is a 5 out of 5 soundtrack, 5 out of 5 dance moves, 2 out of 5 overall. And I also give this,
spins the gun in his hand and goes just like a weird wobbly.
the Foley work in this movie was also hilarious. They used a lot of stock like sound effects and stuff. That was great. But my rating for this movie is this. Styles clash into a power bomb. You've never seen that in wrestling. Yeah. Oh, sorry, the audience doesn't like me tonight, apparently.
Oh shit, sorry. I was too focused on doing that thing that I just
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Oh, we do have one more segment before we get out of here, and it is our plugs. Steve, can you plug that in for me?
All right, let me just plug this in right here and
Gets me every time. B, do you have anything that you would like to plug this week? This week of December 27th, it's Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, you can find me online everywhere at Overlair B. I also have a fairly new YouTube channel where I make crafts and themed food while talking about random things.
Very cool.
Giving you lore and breakdowns and stuff that people don't know.
Is it all on Overlair B?
YouTube.com/Overlair B.
Cool. I'll give you a follow right after this. How about you, Steve? What are you promoting this week?
Well, I mean, Darth Theorist as usual, where I narrate a bunch of Star Wars content, and then we just released today, I think, a second channel called The Three-Eyed Theorist, where we're now going into dun, 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 Game of Thrones content. So if you like Game of Thrones, then you can look forward to hearing me talk about incest and intrigue, because that's basically what Game of Thrones is, right? I'm pretty sure. and then all the other stuff, that true crime stories and all the other ones that I plug every week. But yeah, I'm interested into what the reception will be of this one, because I'm not that great at doing accents, but I'm slowly getting into what do you know about being a bastard? Yes, Jason, I was doing it. You need to.
I wanted to do it at the same time as you, because we both do that. We both do that impression, and it's funny. We're just you don't get why you don't get to. Okay, thank you, Chucky. I would like to talk about I would like to tell you all about the good graces. I hated to see this one as a podcast. You can watch each and every week here on YouTube and Twitch. The next day we put up our video on demand on YouTube, and you can find us on all audio platforms. I'd like to let everybody know that this month was a very fun month for us to do. We got to have some experiences. We had our friend come on and talk about their movie. I really hope that it just all plays out the way that we have it set up, but we also let the guests pick some of our favorite guests. Some of our highest viewed guests got to come on and pick their films. So that was very special. I'd also like to let everybody know that tomorrow night, Super Kick here in Toronto, I think that'll line up. I think December 28th. No, I don't know if they would do a show the week of Christmas. Last week was Super Kicked. I don't know. Come check out Super Kicked here in Toronto. We usually run shows at the end of the month. I'm the announcer for that. B is training to become the next great Amazonian warrior wrestler. Look at those guns.
Oh,
yeah.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
But that does bring us to the end of the show. Actually, just before we get out of here, we do have a store now on TeePublic and Redbubble. We have our Grimoire Familiar Killers, which is sold out. It's been selling so well. We've sold thousands and thousands now here at the end of December. We also have Kill Aid, also 1 million sold here at the end of December, and Twinkerbell, fan favorite. Everybody's bought it. And recently we added this Zardoz, How, I, Who, What Occurs, which of course is a reference to our brief synopsis.
I drew that.
Show. And Steve drew all of these. Twinkerbell's my favorite. And here's a picture of Dr. Doom for some reason.
Doomba.
Here's a picture of okay. That's the end of the show for this week. B, thank you for coming back. You're welcome to come back anytime that you'd like. I think that we owe you a Masters of the Universe, and while we have done that movie, I think that we could probably redo it with just the three of us. And with that, I'll cover the outro as always. B, there's just one question that needs to be asked each and every single week.
Is this where I jump in? And I say, hey, did you see this one?
Oh, man. Do you guys think Vanilla Ice has like a huge dick?
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.